All right, it being 7:01 on Tuesday, July 10th, 2018, I'm going to call the special township board meeting to order. Could everybody rise for the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Malamas, can you take the roll?
Assessor Morgan Craig, Highway Commissioner Kazmierczak, Clerk Giovanni is here, Supervisor Marask,
Here.
Trustee Jones,
Here.
Trustee McKenzie,
Here.
Trustee Carabota, here, Trustee Sweet.
Here. All right, is there any public participation at this time? First item of business is discussion of potential action on following items listed under old and new business. Old business. Policy, procedures and policies as submitted by the committee of trustees Carabota, McKenzie, and Sweet. And then there's the various policies listed, various people who have submitted policies. Our attorney has done some redlining, so I think the procedure we're going to do is just hash it out.
So I have given everybody a packet, or let me just go through what's there. Yeah. So there's three different things. First of all, on the top, there is, it's the second two pages of a memo from Trustee Sweeney about her comments that she had on the policies. I originally, when I received them, was going to integrate this in, but some of them are just questions and policy decisions, so they need to be talked about. Oh, I did.
Oh, you have one? Oh, she does, I'm sorry.
All right, sorry.
My fault.
And then
Oh, she is actually.
so at the top it says from Trustee Sweeney. The second thing in there is actually the red line policies. And it starts, the first policy on the top is parliamentary authority. And then the comments on the side were the comments or questions or whatever that I had, and you can tell my changes in there. The third thing that you have is a paper that says township policies. This is a policy drafted by the supervisor, and stapled to that are questions and comments from Trustee Sweeney about that. And as Trustee Sweeney noted to me before the meeting, some of this might be included in the other policies, so in that case, we either need to incorporate them or figure out which one we want to post or whatever encompasses some of the points of some of the other policies. So I think we should just go through the agenda then and do these in order. So the first one, parliamentary authority, Robert's Rules of Order, Diamond's Rules of Order. I just had wanted to know what version of Robert's Rules of Order. They're on the 14th edition, so I mean maybe we would just specify the 14th edition.
I think if we specify the most recent edition, that way we're always consistent. So for the governing year.
Carrie Lynn, what's your suggestion was to, can you explain to the board, I think your original suggestion on had been the diamonds, the short numbers, correct?
Oh yeah, I had passed out, my partner Stuart Diamond has drafted a different rules of order because Robert's Rules of Order is like whatever, 700 to 900 pages long, and it was designed for governmental assemblies that are continuously in session. And so there's parts of Robert's Rules that discuss about what you do when you're going to convene the next day, and there's a lot that are applicable to smaller units of local government that are not continuously in session. So I submitted that to the board as an alternative because that covers a lot of just the standard routine things you need to cover, like motions and meetings and preparations of packets and agendas and everything like that. So if the board wanted to adopt that instead, we could adopt that instead.
And everybody has that, that book, correct? That's passed out.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the the other question about the parliamentary authority that I had was the policy says all board members shall review Robert's Rules of Order revised in its entirety during the first 60 days after the adoption of this policy. And I felt like, if it's a 900-page book, that only 60 pages are applicable to the township. I didn't know that we wanted to make people have to read the whole.
I think if we, maybe.
Yes, trustee Sweeney.
Maybe more following the rules to try to address this around.
Can you speak up?
Yes, I think the issue is just, more importantly, that we're governed by Robert's Rules, and the most recent version of Robert's Rules is able to be, revised from time to time, and that way we don't have to revise our board policy for the latest edition.
So you want to take out the part about
I've got Robert's Rules for Dummies, and I've got Robert's Rules quick reference guide, 5 pages that we got in the trustees division meeting. And there's also another one that a parliamentarian is sending me that I was supposed to get today that I don't have yet. It's 50 pages, so I think really that might be sufficient for us to look through, as far as not limiting us to
So then you would
reading all
propose
700 pages.
on this policy that the rules contained in Robert's Rules of Order revised, the most recent edition, whatever it is. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
And then the last paragraph, they shall review like maybe a summary of Robert's Rules of Order, or?
Yes.
And who's establishing a summary?
Well, I think all of us, if it was, we could agree on what we want to have provided to us, whether it's a book of Robert's Rules that we can order, or whether we want to have a summary. Does anybody else have any?
I think I like
Trustee Jones?
I like Carrie Lynn's suggestion to use
I'm gonna go get that. I do as well.
It seems like it's more applicable to this type of payment. Oh, sure, sorry. I said I like the suggestion that Carrie Lynn used to use or offered to use the diamond CIP, right? Because I think it's more applicable, it's easier to do than the Robert's Rules for this form of government.
Yes.
I think that, I don't mind the diamonds rules as being an additional resource, but I think we should have maybe the summary or the reference pages, whatever specifically we're gonna have from the Robert's Rules, because, that is the gold standard, that's what most boards use. But I agree that it is so long that I know I don't want to read 700 pages, especially if they're not applicable pages. So if there is a reference guide that is applicable to us, I think that we can all agree that Robert's Rules are the rules, but that Diamond's rules are going to be a resource that will help interpret and provide clarity, and that we should get the reference pages or the summary, or the Robert's Rules for Dummies, I don't care which, that's a lot better than 700 pages, but, 700 pages sounds crazy.
But there's, we could have that on reference, if we had a parliamentarian, that's really the issue that they would be going, referencing, or occasionally we ask the attorney. But I will tell you, and I want to be on record for this and have this reflected in the minutes as well, Keisha. During the last meeting, I made a motion to amend, and it violated Robert's Rules because we did not allow my motion to be heard, and that precluded us from considering a vote on bonuses versus salaries. So I have talked to several elected officials, board members, parliamentarians, And people have told me that that was a clear violation. And that's why it's so important to reference what is our gold standard. Robert's Rules has been around for 140 years, so I'm not sure where that knowledge came from, how that decision was made to not allow me to amend.
It was the
But-
attorneys.
You were trying to amend somebody
You
else's.
were trying to
motion.
amend someone else's
I
motion.
I was trying to amend your motion.
Right.
So that is what is allowable, and you
Have some say.
as a supervisor should allow for that to be called and asked if there's a
I had
second.
nothing to do with it.
If there was a second, then it should be voted on. And if it was voted down, then we would go back to the original motion, and we would consider that original motion. So I was denied the right, and it was more of a, you know, a one-rule decision, and we can't allow that kind of dictatorship, which is really, you know.
It was our
using a harsh
attorney.
word.
I'm sorry. And let's not sling around words like dictatorship. We're at a workshop. So our attorney, who pretty much wrote the book on township, that we hired, stated that another person cannot amend the first person's motion. It wasn't just that motion, it was every motion. We had to do 10 excruciating motions for these minutes that everybody who had seconded had to be the
I'm
person.
talking about that one.
I
particular
understand,
motion.
but it wasn't just
And I was
that
told
one
that-
motion.
I was told that the maker of the motion had to be the determinant of whether or not my amendment would be presented and heard and allowed to be seconded and then voted on.
And I was advised that was a no.
I thought you were trying to amend the motion that someone else made.
That's what she was.
I was trying to amend the motion. that
And she's
Supervisor
saying that
Marasco-
our attorney's advice is wrong. So, and basically, trustee, care about it.
I think Robert's rules should be that which governs, but I do like the language our council has suggested, and that Susan suggested, Claire, that we put into this, the most recent version, depending on the governing year. And as far as a review, I would lean toward just not having a review, that there wouldn't necessarily need to be a review. That would be that second paragraph. I think that was the initial suggestion we were thinking about, maybe not having the paragraph at all. That's what I'm.
Well, if we have Robert's rules, if we have the latest version at our side, we can go and reference it and look it up. And, I mean, a recommendation or a consideration that we might want to think about is having a parliamentarian, because even more important than, at least in the past year, it seems that we sometimes are using an attorney as a parliamentarian. And to my knowledge, Carrie Lynn, are you a parliamentarian?
I'm not. My partner, Stuart Diamond, is, and that's why he prepared the
book.
streamlined version, because he thought that would be easier for people, but
Well, again, if, you know, if we have a standard and, you know, we want to go down a path for, you know, obviously past decades to come, that's what's accepted in the industry. And I think holding up in a court of law, if there's any judicial preference, judicial cases where Diamond's rules have been evaluated, has that happened? Have you ever used that in a court of law?
no, he just completed drafting them.
Okay, because Robert's rules, you know, is what all the governmental bodies use, and I just feel that that's consistent, and for people who aren't residents and other governmental bodies, that they would be consistent. And, you know, it would lessen, as we have written here, that we'd have certainty and confidence in the outcomes when rules are interpreted and applied, and then to adopt an unfamiliar set of rules, regardless of the simplicity, will create some uncertainty, and as a practical matter, makes the township and the public who follow meetings dependent on one law firm who drafted them. And that was why we had talked as a committee to consider that we use the most recent version.
The most recent version is still 700 pages, I think, was the point. I would like to quote from, in in this book, on page 1, Robert's Rules of Order was written for the meetings of bodies larger than most legislative bodies of school districts, park districts, townships, and other units of local government and their committees or commissions. In Illinois, except for the largest units of local government, the number of persons whose conduct must be ordered by parliamentary rules generally does not exceed 21. Even the simplest sets of frequently used rules of order spend many pages listing large numbers of subsidiary, secondary, incidental, privileged motions, their precedents, debatability, and vote requirements. It would be helpful if the members or staff with some experience could be asked to recall the last time motions came before the body to, quote, call for order of the day, raise a question of no privilege, postpone to a certain time, seek a diversion of the assembly, make a special order, object to consideration, or to limit or extend debate. These motions have played an important part in the life and operation of the governmental body, knowing their precedential position, their debatability, and in some instances, the extra majority votes required to pass them should not be placed upon the shelf where they reside in the Diamond's rules. In large legislative governmental bodies, those with 21 or more members, and in bodies where the legislative process proceeds with choreographed drama, these ancient motions probably need to have continuing life. And then it goes on to give the history of how these were created. The purpose of parliamentary procedures is not to miraculously bring about uniformity of opinion. Rather, it is to allow and encourage a process under which the rights of minorities are guaranteed, along with the reasonably prompt resolution of matters being considered. In part because of the complex nature of these popular rules, individuals often emerged who became parliamentary tyrants. I think it has to be one or the other. But I agree with Dave. If it is Robert's Rules, this second has to come. There's absolutely no test. Like, there's no point to that second paragraph. Nobody's taking a test. It's not like freedom of information or FOIA or HOMA. And so even given the latest edition, I have a cheat sheet, but which was passed out to public participants months ago. What I don't really see, since these are written, we're not anticipating, Robert's Rules don't really have anything to do with going to court. I mean, we're not passing policies with an eye for litigation. I think we're passing policies with an eye for uniformity. So that's my message. So, what shall I do?
So I will hand, just for perusal, I have one copy of this, but this is the 5-page cheat sheet that starts out that we had learned, we had gotten from the trustees division meeting that we attended. And it's got procedures for handling a main motion, how to accomplish what you want to do in meetings, issues about postponing indefinitely, suspend rules, committee of the whole. It's really everything that you need to know, especially on the cheat sheet. So in the example that I gave of amending a motion, this is why I feel Robert's Rules is so important. I can move that a motion be amended, and then there is no interruption of the speaker. And you are allowed to ask for a second to that motion. If you get that second, then it becomes a debatable issue, and it can be amended. And if it's voted down, then the new motion, the original motion is brought forward. So I will pass this down so everybody can see this. I would suggest if we could take a vote on the first, adopting the parliamentary authority in the first sentence, and then as it pertains to what board members shall do. I mean, if we're governed by the latest revision of Robert's Rules, then that's the important thing. We can choose to look at, the full edition and read that, or look at some of the, synopsis of it. But I've been recommended that it's a good idea to leave as much of it as you can, as a trustee and board member.
Trustee Jones.
Actually, reading those first 2 pages helped a lot more clarify things, I think, for people in the gallery also. And I think that I would agree with trustee McKenzie's suggestion, which would be to, I understood you to use the Stewart Diamonds and reference Robert rules when needed, to use them both. And not just limit ourselves to Robert's Rules of Order, because Stewart Diamonds is basically the simplified version, the more practical version for this type of body.
Can we do that?
Or the proposal would be to adopt Diamonds and then supplement it with Robert's Rules. My only question would be, what if there's a conflict?
My suggestion was the other way around, because Robert's rules is the gold standard that we use at Diamonds is his interpretation, which I'm sure is fine. But I would use the Diamonds rules as clarification, interpretation, or I don't know, I would have to look at an example side by side to see. But I would, because Robert's Rules of Order have been around for so long and tested and used, I would say Robert's Rules of Order is the gold standard, but not 700 pages. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me, but this.
That's what you reference when you need to go look it up, and you can look it up.
Right, but if we could have something that's more workable, like this cheat sheet and the Robert's Rules for Dummies and the summary that you're gonna get, all of us have, I mean, I think we all have to get this, so that we all have the same stuff, and not 700 pages. I don't think anybody needs to read 700 pages if it's not applicable, but if it is.
Speaking of the mics a little louder, it sounds like the audience is having a little trouble hearing something.
That better? So what I was saying is that I think because Robert's Rules of Order is the gold standard and what has been used for a long time, I think that that should be what the actual rules that we look to are, but Diamond's rules, because they are a summary and more tailored to what we will use it for, could be what we use for interpretation purposes, for clarification purposes. But Susan has brought to our attention that there's Robert's Rules for Dummies, and there's the summary sheet, and there's the summary that we don't
There's
have.
another 50-page
So,
summary.
be much more manageable.
So can we call the vote just to ask for the verbiage in the first sentence to be adopted? And then as far as what we do, what more?
But did you want it adopted like that, or do you want to specify the most recent edition?
Most recent edition. The rules contained in Robert's Rules of Order revised, most recent edition, shall govern the board in all cases to which they are applicable and in which they are not inconsistent with other applicable law.
I believe it's what you suggested earlier. That's
Well, sure you can make that motion. Okay, is there a second?
second.
Okay, so having a motion and a second is now open to discussion. So that's different from what Claire said.
Right.
Alright, so your motion is just that language, without any reference to using Diamond's rules as a, guidance, or, which are specifically for local boards. I just want to
I
understand.
actually looked at both, and to be honest, I was confused by some things in Diamond. So you have to pick one versus another. I don't think that it's, you can have both sets of rules. I think you have to pick a standard, in my opinion.
Trustee McKenzie.
I don't think it's really worth continuing to debate this. I mean, I think we should just, like, Robert's Rules of order have been around for a long time.
140 years.
I don't think that there's anything wrong with diamond rules, but I agree that we do have to have a standard, and we use diamond rules as verification, interpretation, helpfulness, just like we use the Robert's rules for dummies, but I mean, there has to be a governing rule book.
Okay, so let's call the question. Clerk Jalamis, aye. Can you call the roll?
Supervisor Rask,
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie,
Yes.
Trustee Carabota.
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're just putting the first sentence in the first one.
First sentence only. Does anybody know what the latest edition is?
14.
14. All right, we're up to establishing agenda items. All right. Okay, so everybody knows, these have been on the website for a couple months. There's some questions by Trustee Sweeney for establishing agenda. Number one, why are we pushing back the board package? I would like it Thursday for a Tuesday meeting. Okay. So I explained that at the last board meeting, that I had done that as a favor for many months, actually. To get it out Thursday, I did not realize the extent to which it impinges on the ability of the financial to get done. Because it's very difficult to get the bills that you need, because they close on a certain day. So when I found that out, and in consultation with Carrie Lynn, the majority of boards, generally, we've had some complicated ones, but I mean, this is contemplated as a once-a-month meeting. I don't have any problem compromising. I would generally be able to give an agenda Thursday, for sure. Packet, though, Mikey very kindly added a new job to his duties to keep bringing you guys the packets. Hang on. And so, the agenda, there should be no problem with that. And the agenda request, this is part and parcel of this. So the second comment was that, first of all, there's nothing in, I really take to heart our attorney's comment, there's nothing in the Open Meetings Act to have publication of a draft agenda. So elected, number 2 in the proposed ones, it said elected board members requesting agenda items must provide email or written notification to the township clerk before publication of the draft agenda. There is no draft agenda, no later than 6 days before the meeting. I mean, there's obviously a draft agenda, but it doesn't get published. Generally for a Tuesday night meeting, this would be prior to the end of the day, Wednesday before the board meeting. Because if I want to get it to you by Thursday, obviously. So it does not impinge on your ability to suggest an agenda item. Like, one thing has nothing to do with the other. You can always suggest an agenda item. If it's, I know your second comment, Trustee Sweeney, is it reasonable to have the agenda request by Wednesday afternoon? ideally, I'd like to see the proposed agenda by Monday to know if I'd like to add an agenda item. But what difference would it make?
You can't add something on Monday for a Tuesday meeting, because it's not released.
No, she means the Monday the week
The Monday
before.
before.
It's never gonna happen.
Because I don't know what I need to add or would like to request unless I know it's not, it might be already planned.
But then
Or
I'll
not,
tell you.
so I can kind of fill the.
I mean, if it's
Well, tell
on
me
there,
By receipt of it, not till I'm in receipt of it on Friday afternoon right now, which might be Friday night or Saturday.
no,
Then
I literally
if
just
I
said,
were to want to add or request something, don't want to receive those requests for a weekend, and then we
No.
would be like doing that on a
You can't do
Monday.
No.
To add it, and it's too late.
but why,
So-
why does one depend on the other? Like, why can't you make, I've had many agenda requests that have, very sometimes duplicative, sometimes not. And,
Make the request, and if it's on
Right.
the agenda, it'll be like it's on the agenda already.
which I'll tell you that day.
And paragraph 1 here has it going out Thursday for a Tuesday meeting, so if anyone has something by Friday, they can do it.
Right. I mean, I'm talking about the agenda. So it's the packets that, it's very difficult to get those bill paid, which are really important.
Could we have it without the bill pay? We have
The packets?
Yeah.
2 trips by night? It's
No, we don't, I mean, I think we.
We're still writing, let me see what's the
We're still
Our department
paying
heads
our
are still putting the
bills.
summaries together and getting stats ready for you guys. Do you mean like the meat of like what the department heads, put together for you?
No, not as much the department heads.
Okay. We're still working on that
As much as
Monday.
maybe the issues that we have to, look at, evaluate, and vote on.
Well, here's how I do it, and you can do this too. Dana and I literally go to last year in July, for example, and see what are the mandatory things we need to do. There's mandatory things, and township perspective lists other mandatory things. And I look at, and it's all online. So that's how I do it, and then we hold over anything that's been held over, which in the past few months has been quite a lot. So, I mean, it's not any big mystery, I don't think, for the amount of, I'm happy to give you an agenda Thursday.
Okay.
And I'm happy to accept agenda request. I think, there has to be a cutoff point for the clerk. And I think Wednesday is a good cutoff point if you're getting an agenda on Thursday. And you still have time if there's some emergency thing that you need to add because it gets published Friday for a Tuesday board meeting, right? So.
And it's fine to me if you're giving just an agenda, you can email that. but don't send it.
Right. That's why I'm
If there are
offering.
things that we have to.
Yeah, that I will get delivered to you on Friday. But that's what I'm saying, the board packet time really is separate from the agenda issue. You can send in anything you want for the agenda. And, if it's duplicative or semi-duplicative, it'll tell you, and ask you, or I'll tell you if I'm, and ask you, do you still want this? Or whoever seconded it, unless I can be careful, the filing of your meetings. So, I don't have any problem giving an agenda Thursday at all. I also have no problem, but I want some, I think it's not, don't think it's too much to ask that the board, submit to the best of their ability. Any agenda items by the Wednesday?
Right, that's what we would put that. On Wednesday and then report.
Right, but then in your comments, you said, is it reasonable to have the agenda requests by Wednesday afternoon? So that implies that you're not happy with that.
It's a question. Is that acceptable?
You said I would like to see the proposed agenda by Monday, which we
Well,
can't do.
that we've already taken out.
Okay, all right. So, are we agreed that, so actually, everything Karen Lynn under, red line, can pass as is, right?
It's still Friday for a Tuesday meeting.
Correct.
That's a number one, but you're going to add.
Oh, I'll add that the supervisor and clerk will email the agenda on Thursday.
So prepare to be emailed.
Yeah, what is it, paragraph one?
The second sentence.
The agenda for meeting, prepared by no later than the close of business on the 15th for the meeting, generally Thursday. Okay, and then I'll add in there, and emailed to the board by the close of business Thursday. Good? Trustee Karen.
The thing that I really having a problem with is getting the packet on Friday. Well, that's what you're saying, that it's just basically impossible to keep up with Thursday. Thursday was tight enough, because these packets, if you know, have been comprehensive too. And with the schedule I keep, cutting it from Thursday to Friday takes out a whole evening that I have to review. And it's extremely difficult coming in on Friday to be prepared for Tuesday meeting. I push so I don't have to say I'm not prepared to vote because I have an opportunity. But losing that Thursday night is really difficult.
Okay, and I mean no disrespect by this. As Susan said, Robert's Rules of Order have been gold standard in use for a zillion years. So prior to me being here, I was a trustee for 16 years. I think Kim was a trustee for 12 years. Everybody here has been a trustee, really 12. So we always got it on Friday, no matter how big or small. Like we never looked at it and got it Thursday. Obviously, we didn't have 3 new board members, but we did it at one point when Wally and I, were put on the board in 01, have 2. And it was still Friday. So
Well, I mean, no disrespect, but I spent a significant amount of time as soon as I got it.
I'm not saying
So
you don't,
it
but
takes
that's
that.
part of the job. I mean,
Correct.
I don't
That's
know.
why it's
That's
the
why we
best
do it.
job. But that's for it.
I mean-
There's things that we can look
I
at.
mean, you ran for the job, like.
That's why we want
Came
to-
to board meetings, hang on, you ran for the job, I'm sure you looked at, researched, looked online, came to board meetings, and,
I did, and the board meetings lasted about, a fourth of the time that they last now. because
That is
we go
correct.
through With painstaking sometimes, detail to make sure that we're evaluating everything to make the best decision. So,
well, that's in your,
correct.
okay. So, but what I'm saying is for 30 years, board packets have been on Friday. So, when you ran for office, it's part of the deal. I'm trying to
All right, I
compromise.
mean no disrespect again, but, I didn't come and get elected to rubber stamp something and just say yes, yes.
You don't have to rubber stamp.
Well, I think
Clearly,
that's
you
why
don't
I'm
rubber
hard.
stamp.
When I look back, and I did, see a lot of old.
Trustee Jones.
Well, it's been 13 months, and we all, in our jobs and our careers, families, we have to learn time management skills. And this is a time management skill. And,
I'm sorry. Hang on. That is inappropriate, and I will eject anybody who makes any display or comment or any type of action. I understand. No, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna, can you turn up the volume? You don't speak into the microphone, number
You
one.
can't hear me.
I can't hear you, I can't hear you, I hear nothing coming out of the
Okay, sir.
I heard you once.
Please stop yelling. Nobody has ever accused me of not being able to hear me. But I'm happy to speak into the microphone. So, please be on notice that those outbursts will not be tolerated from anybody. Okay? All right,
I'm not finished.
Trustee Jones.
As I was saying, we all have to learn time management skills. And when you're a trustee, when I was an alderman, I had the packets, it's the same thing. And some packets are bigger than others. And you spend many, many years, many months, I spend the entire weekend going over my packet. Meaning that there's things that I would be rather doing that I'm not doing because this is a responsibility that I have and I've taken on. And that's just the way it goes. It's a job. And you have to work around it.
Comment?
Trustee Sweeney.
I'm sorry, but I'm insulted by that, because if I work all weekend, and since I got the packet, with all free time I have, it's not a time management skill. I do a lot of research.
But
So I don't need to be lectured on that, I'm
Nobody's
sorry. that's-
insulting you, trustee.
Well, it
Sweeney.
is.
It is a time management
It is.
thing. Well, that's your choice, being insulted by it. I'm not insulted.
If you looked at the thoroughness, I'm not gonna
Man,
Trustee Carabota.
it's been my experience over this year that we've done it, that we've been receiving the packets on Thursday. Then it was changed back to Friday. Thursday was difficult enough. In my time management skills, I raised 3 children, I have a private law practice, I have a number of things that I address for the county, etc., just like we all do. We're all very busy. My time management skills, by the way, are, in my opinion, the best in the country. However, I need the packet on Thursday night. And I did take it, I'll leave it at that. I needed it Thursday night so I could properly do the job that I was elected to do.
Well, don't know if that's possible.
What about the consideration of the employees and their time? I think that's a factor that we're not including in this conversation. It's not just about us and our times, it's also
Are they
about
working
them.
overtime to get the packets?
Oh, in many cases, yes. I mean, I think you have to have an understanding of when the bills close and the fact that checks are still being cut.
I understand that, that's why I was suggesting just send them out without the bills. We, actually have.
Well,
And also.
but then when would we give you the bills?
I don't think,
You don't think the bill pay is an important part of the board package?
I do think it's important, but I think you can get that at a later time.
Like when? Friday? No, how? I mean, Trustee McKenzie.
Is it possible, excuse me, is it possible to get some of these things on Thursday by email so that at least like we can start working on things and then the rest of it can be on Friday?
It really all depends. I mean, you know, the last packet was enormous, so no, that can't be on email because you're gonna take the Aisha who was in the middle of stickers, you know, which if you guys were here, was the line 3 blocks out the door and literally has to scan it all in order to do that. So it's a lot easier, you know, for us to have Mike deliver it. And so generally, a board packet's not gonna be that thick. And it's, you know, a regular board packet. I mean, all of this information, I'm a little shocked that it would take so long because like, especially in the last few months, everything's been held over. So much of the information had already been provided. If we break this up, I honestly,
and then making 2 deliveries. You want to pay an employee to do that, that's fine. But I thought you guys were really wanting to be fiscally responsible. So if you want to break it up and have, the guts, if you will, which are usually in a standard board packet, going to be the standard, department reports and this department stats. There's, this last few months, we had exceptionally large board packets. You have to understand, I'm also having somebody put it online who has a full-time therapist job. So, it really, you don't want to spend money here, but it's sort of a rock and a hard place. So I'm trying to accommodate everybody. And I know that it can be done because we did it for me 16 years, other people, before me. And there were boards equally as, you can ask Mr. Wessel, well before my time, there was a board that I think had regularly, 2 different trustees who were opposed to the other board members. So, there was lots of, discussion and things like that nature. So this isn't the first time in America that, different board members want different things. I'm trying to reach a reasonable compromise. Trustee Clerk Jones.
I would just maybe like to say that if it can be done on a Thursday and it's not a very busy month and we have the time, I think everybody would be happy to accommodate. But there's times that it is very difficult, especially lately when we've had stickers, when we've had everything else going on, that it's just really hard to get it done.
Right.
And, I don't want my staff working a ton of overtime. That's certainly something we're trying to be cognizant of. And they put in a ton of hours as it is. So if we can do it, I think we're happy to do it, but I can't make it a guarantee because there's some other things that come up.
Denise. So, bill pay. Is it, first of all, legal to email bill pay when it has general assistance?
Just email for distribution?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Distribute.
No, it would be not. Right. Okay. So, with respect to the bills alone, can that be scanned and emailed on Friday?
Those,
The bill pay portion of the board packet. All right, so what I'd like to, in keeping with Clerk Gilanis's, I think that this should be amended, that I think we should keep it for Friday, but that we'll make every effort to get it Thursday. Is that how you want to phrase it, Pete?
Sure.
And most of the time, it is doable, but, and then with the assumption that the bill pay portion will be emailed Friday.
Okay.
Trustee Garabata.
The agenda is Wednesday,
No.
packet's Thursday,
No,
and
no, you're getting- no, no, no.
pay on Friday.
No.
Well, I just can't lose that Thursday night.
We're giving it, we're trying to give it to you.
We've been having the Thursday night up until the last few, and that's why you're talking about the last few meetings and things have been pushed down the road a little bit. It was a lot to have to cover. That one evening does make a big difference. It was a huge benefit that we had over the last year. It was a very good thing. I appreciate it.
But at the same time, they were repetitive.
It's something that I find necessary.
Okay, so I think we are trying to compromise that, in a regular month, we'll do Thursday. If it's an extraordinary, like when we have the garage sale, or we have, you know, some huge event that is all staff on deck. You know, but you're not getting the agenda Wednesday. Wednesday is when your items that you want on the agenda need to be input. At the very minimum, you'll get the agenda Thursday. And every effort would be made to get you the board packet minus bill review on Thursday. And then bill pay would come to your electronic.
I would say the bill, the packet comes to us Thursday without the bill pay, with the bill pay meeting Thursday or Friday. I can do that.
So that's not a compromise. That's what you want.
It's compromise. I normally get everything plus bill to be on Thursday. Except for the last couple of packets that I haven't changed to Friday.
Okay. So, I'm gonna make a motion to pass establishing agenda items with an addition as is, but with a couple additions, and emailed to the board by the close of business Thursday after the second sentence, and that agenda and board packets will go out to the board or every effort will be made to send board packets to the board by close of business Thursday, but in some events.
So are we taking out the 5th day in that language? Can you read it as each department, so you know what you're...
Township clerk, in consultation with the supervisor, will prepare the agenda. The agenda for meetings will be prepared by no later than the close of business on the 5th day before the meeting, generally Thursday or a Tuesday meeting. I'm going to add an email to the board by the close of business Thursday.
That's right, because that's the way it is, and say, except, provided they take, like instead of getting.
So then the next sentence would read, agenda and board packets will go out to the board by the close of business on the 4th day before a meeting, generally Friday for a Tuesday meeting. However, every effort will be made to give the board packet on Thursday with the agenda.
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there, oh, I'm sorry, I have, all right, no, it's included, okay. Is there any further discussion?
Yes.
Okay, trustee
I
Krupa.
am concerned that by having that language, every effort will be made. I mean, I understand that.
Well, I haven't really made every
It could be for Thursday, with the exception of an emergency situation, or like you say, an unusual situation, then there can be an exception to Friday. We could do that. There's Thursday for a Tuesday meeting with the understanding that if there is an unusual situation that causes delay, then no later than Friday. I want to make Friday the exception, the exception and not the rule. Because every time I get on a Friday, it is.
Well, you're getting bill pay on Friday. That was one of the main reasons. So, I was like literally trying to compromise. I liked Pete's idea, so I give up. I mean, I had my motion, Kim seconded, trustee McKenzie.
Carrie, then we were supposed to have a workshop format. So like, what is different about a workshop versus the normal meetings? Because I feel like this is the same kind of discourse that we have for other motions. Is there a way to make this more of a more interactive and less contentious type of discussion?
Well, a workshop is normally just a focused meeting on one particular topic. It doesn't change the necessarily really interact. So it's like a workshop, just talking about the policies. Do you want to just call for this question?
Yes.
If it fails, have.
Yeah, sure. Clerk Jelinek, can you call it?
Could you read again how it's going to be before the vote?
The township clerk, in consultation with the supervisor, will prepare the agenda. The agenda for meetings will be prepared by no later than the close of business on the 5th day before the meeting, generally Thursday or a Tuesday meeting, and emailed to the board by the close of business Thursday. Agendas and board packets will go out to the board. And here's where I was going to make the change. By the close of business on the 4th day before a meeting, generally Friday or a Tuesday meeting, but every effort shall be made to provide board packets with the agenda on Thursday, with the understanding that bill pay will be electronically emailed Friday. And then the rest of it reads, any elected board member may call for placement of an item for discussion and/or vote on the monthly board meeting agenda, provided the item is given to the clerk and supervisor at least 6 days prior to the board meeting. Elected board members requesting agenda items must provide email or written notification to the township clerk before publication of the draft agenda, no later than 6 days before the meeting. Generally for a Tuesday meeting, this would be prior to the end of the day, Wednesday, before the board meeting. Number 3, clerk will confirm to the member within 24 hours that the item has been added to the agenda for the next monthly board meeting. Is this for inclusion of the sun? This confirmation may occur by the clerk transmitting the board agenda to all board members, including the requesting board member. This board agenda will be communicated to all board members, so let's change that, by the close of business the Thursday. Paragraph 3, instead of Friday, that will read Thursday, before the meeting. And then number 4 is number 7.
Except for then, what if they get the meeting and the agenda and they want to add something?
Right, they're gonna get it Thursday.
That's why,
Right, they'd still have time.
that's why it says Friday.
Oh, you mean, I thought you're saying, no,
We need
wait.
the agenda by end of the day,
No,
Wednesday, so it'll be
This
time
is
to do Thursday.
confirming that they've added it
No,
over.
you're gonna get the agenda
This
on
paragraph.
Thursday. You have to get your items in by
That Wednesday, I'm sorry.
Right, I was gonna say,
Wednesday's
was
Wednesday.
just confirming that they've already added it. Not that they're adding it Thursday.
So we need to proceed with something. So if they get it on Thursday, and then we add something.
Right,
Thursday,
they can do that. Because we don't publish till, that was the whole point.
Late Friday.
Until right after, all revise, all that stuff. They do it by Wednesday, that's what Wednesday. Well, but they can't, because, legally they can, but that's why there's policy that has it Wednesday.
I can't hear the discussion.
I'm sorry.
It's a question I'm asking them.
Yeah, I can't hear
You
those.
can't hear.
You gotta speak up a
Okay,
little
so
louder.
her question is, that, if you guys had or one of you had an emergency change and you're getting the packets on Thursday, like how can you make that change? Or I'm sorry, the agenda. But then we have to go through the work, like we have done many times, of calling in a revised agenda and publishing it, which is
No.
why it is suggested to have it in by Wednesday.
No, that wasn't my question.
Okay.
I'm saying that the agenda is going to be delivered to you on Thursday. So if you had changes to the agenda, how could we deliver the packet on Thursday if you have changes to the agenda that you're not receiving till Thursday. That's why it's being delivered on Friday. You can't.
That was
there's no-
Karen that's in town.
There's no, I mean, you can't go back in time. There's time constraints. So if you're giving your suggestions on Wednesday, you get the agenda on Thursday, and you want to make changes, the reason they're being delivered on Friday is so that if you have a change to the agenda, there's time to change it in the packet. And you can't do that if you get the agenda on Thursday and you want your packets on Thursday.
The amended agenda can always be emailed, just like happened for this particular
But there's
meeting.
things related to the amended
We had
agenda.
for this-
that
we
have
had
to
for
be
this
included in
particular,
the
I'm
packet.
speaking, for this particular meeting, and for this particular meeting, there was an agenda item issue. And what happened was that our very good staff got us out an amended agenda by email. It's not a problem. I love
I'm
to
sorry.
work, I
Okay,
love
that
to
was
work on the
actually
issue,
just
but
left
I'm just saying the importance of me having the packet on Thursday.
But, excuse me, but that's not the point, whether you're getting a change to the agenda. When you change the agenda, it also changes the packet, what's in the packet. It's
So
not just-
what she's
it's not
saying
just
is,
changing a
if you
line
get
of
the
the
packet on
agenda.
Thursday, generally then Rich is gonna post the packet, and then it'll be published, so all of that has to get redone.
Right, exactly.
We've done it this way for the last year.
Yes, and a lot of effort, I mean,
And
like,
I want the pack, I would prefer to have the packet on Thursday so I can do my job as we've done for the last year.
you've also been able to do your job when you've gotten it on Friday. So,
The last couple of times we've received them on Friday, and it's posed a great difficulty to me. I'm just presenting them. I
well,
also like to be able to address issues at the one board meeting without having to continue issues on tabling issues for future.
I don't believe that the continuation of your motion to table those items had anything to do, because they were your items about an RFP for safety. They had nothing to do with the packets when they were delivered. They had nothing.
I would just
And-
like us to go back to what we've been doing for the last year.
Which I literally specifically said was a favor that I was doing way back then. So, well, go on. All right, well, we have a motion.
So I couldn't get the end of your sentence where you started and you said, however, every effort shall be made.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Provide
Susan,
I'm
Susan.
back up at the,
Yeah, I got you. Okay. Every effort shall be made to provide board packets with the agenda. I'm sorry, it should say with the packets. To provide board packets with the agenda, I had it right. On Thursday, with the understanding that bill paying review will be electronically transmitted Friday. But then, like, we have to have an understanding, that you guys have to abide by the number 3 about when agenda items go on. So we don't have to
okay, so I had originally, you had said with the understanding of the agenda, with the understanding.
Well, now I'm compromising. That's what Pete said.
Okay,
Pete
yeah,
said-
no, I'm just trying to.
Right.
I
Pete's
wish we had
motion, I
this
thought
written
was
out,
good.
because it would be easier to see and maybe agree to it once we all see the language as it's, changed.
Right.
I don't know if we can defer that, but if you write that up and then we just vote on it by email.
I don't think you can vote by email.
So it is a very important agenda item.
I can type it up and we can put on the agenda for the 26th.
Yeah.
Forward to the
That's
next
a good suggestion.
Okay. So, Susan, are you making a motion to table?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second on that motion? Okay, having a motion and a second to table takes precedence over my motion. So, Clerk Giuliana's call the roll.
Supervisor Moran.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota.
Yes.
Trustee Sweeney.
Yes.
Next. Public access council.
language as stated.
I stated with the underlining, right? With the red lining?
I don't see a red line, sorry. I have a black line. I don't have
Or black lining? I mean, the changes
With attorney modification.
with the attorney modifications. In
that.
other
Yes,
words,
correct.
okay,
But some of mine were comment, like one of them says it's going to be possible. You know, like,
oh, number 4. She has a comment, number 4, any elected board member in consultation, this one is correct.
number 3.
I'm sorry. Wait, oh, I'm sorry, number 3. All correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions, between the PAC and any township, employees, representatives, or officials shall be forwarded to all board members as soon as practicable.
So I took out the comment.
Right, so-
To 5 days or something.
Right, so in other words, she had taken out the review and comments, but I think Susan has the right copy, right?
You got the version of the changes?
I do have, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's just
Oh, all
black,
right.
it's not.
Okay, so, but then your comment on number
Yes.
4 was
Now-
actually, so,
Yeah, number
number 4
4
is an issue. Any
Right.
elected board member in consultation with the township attorney may request an advisory opinion from the PAC. So, Carrie Lynn's comment is the statute provides that the Public Access Counselor office may issue advisory opinions. However, they have never done so, which is absolutely true. They actually told me on the phone, they don't do it.
And we can leave that in.
Yeah,
But
I
we should
mean,
just have that.
it's just gonna have really
It's
no
always been
effect.
nice.
So, you made a motion to pass as is with her revisions, correct?
Correct, and then we keep that in, and there's
That's
a
fine.
comment.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah, we're going with both eyes open.
Yep. Having a motion and a second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, clerk Jelinek, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Moran?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carapota?
Yes.
Sorry, Trustee Sweet.
Yes.
All right, next is interaction with IMR.
I'm sorry to do this, but I just, when the township attorney may respond to any PAC request on behalf of the township, we should get a copy of what that response is. I don't know if that's assumed or if we want to have that stated, but that's underlined that the township attorney may respond to any PAC request on behalf of the township.
Where are you?
It's paragraph.
That was paragraph, number 2.
Are we back in the old one?
Yes,
That we already
sorry,
passed?
we did pass it, but that's the last sentence in number 2. And I don't know, you know,
With a copy of the board.
yeah, I mean, we should, whatever's, and I've said this in all things.
Which you-
We should get copies of everything.
Right,
Which you
and the attorney
probably
will
do,
take
but it
care
should
of
be part of the
that.
policy.
We already have a policy that it was the township attorney who would take care of sending you.
But that, with the copy to go to the board. Okay, so let's do, so it's a motion to amend.
Can we make a motion?
Wait, I can't.
Okay.
If you guys remember.
I realize that this is a fault, okay, so I know we took the vote, but it's implied, you know, with other board policies that we have to look at copies of documents, but
Okay,
we have not gotten copies.
when? I mean, so you get copies, but I think the point here was that it's, you know, there's a sentence in there that the township attorney has authority to respond to the paper, right?
Right.
Okay, so it's not gonna be a big back and forth where
With the
everybody's
copy.
gonna be
Copies go to the board.
I'm sorry.
With copies go to the board. I've experienced it where I'm getting emails from an individual that's.
That was with the
receiving
prior attorney.
communication from our current law firm, which is great, and they're giving a thorough response, but they're emailing me about it, and I haven't even seen it. So it'd be a great idea if we had just that line, just some copies.
Isn't it covered though by paragraph 3?
All corresponds to the creditors.
Paragraph 3 says that all correspondence between PAC and any township, employees, representative, or officials shall
be forwarded to all elected board members as soon as practical.
Right, but there could be an argument that,
Back in the township,
right,
but
that
not the
doesn't
township
include
attorney.
the township attorney. So when our attorneys respond to something, I really need a copy of it, so I'm a little.
It's number
All
4.
correspondence include that? All correspondence?
Between the PAC and any township
Between the PAC
representative.
and any township employees, represented officials, that's arguably does not, can include or cannot include a communication, so whether or not that includes those communications by the attorney responding.
So the attorney.
So we just add that to paragraph 2, copies go to the board members as soon as practical. I like that term you used.
It's already in there. That's what you just passed.
It doesn't say specifically the community, that the attorney has the authority to respond,
Yes.
but it doesn't say in there that with copies of the response to go to the board members.
Yes, number 3. Yes.
I'd like it added to it, does a good
It
one.
says all correspondence.
I'm sorry, they, literally, number 3 says it.
Number 3 does not
That's it.
reference the township attorney, references.
You're a representative.
And township
You can't
employees.
have it.
Okay, if it counts as representatives, then it's.
I would say
I'm
this
fine.
is very easy just to add those words in paragraph 2. With
But
copies
they're
of-
repetitive.
Copies to the board.
Read.
Just add it in. Just add it in, it's real simple. I make that motion.
Make a motion to add
I'm sorry.
with copies.
What are we adding?
Paragraph 2.
Paragraph 2, the last sentence, the township attorney may respond to any PAC request on behalf of the township and copy all board members electronically.
So that's your motion to amend, the
Yes.
one we just passed. Okay, is there a second?
As soon as practical. As soon as, I like that language.
Well, that's, yeah, okay, so basically copy paragraph 3 and put it at the end of paragraph 2 and keep paragraph 3.
And I would second the motion.
Okay. These were supposed to be simple, clear, and concise. Copy to the board.
Each of the board members, right, each of the board members. As soon as practical.
Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, can you call the roll on the motion to amend the previously passed motion?
Supervisor Burns?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee
Yes.
Sweeney?
Okay. Now, done with that, we move to the next one, interaction with IMR. All right, so there's 3 comments here. So I think Carrie Lynn should address this.
Yes, there was a mistake, if I can mistake, but I wanted to add,
I'm sorry, I'll recognize you, trustee Smith. What do you want to add?
okay, so in number 3, all correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions between IMRF and any township. You had crossed out employees and representatives or officials regarding shall be forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment. I had requested that we add, which doesn't involve that township official or representative's own confidential IMRF business shall be forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment.
What if it involves somebody else's confidential IMRF business?
Which does not involve that township's.
No, she's saying, what if it involves someone else's, okay, so what if there's correspondence from, for example, I'm the IMRF agent. What if there's correspondence that involves an employee's confidential IMRF business?
If an employee writes to IMRF and says, I want to retire a year from now, they haven't notified the township of this, and they want to know what their benefits are. This requires the employees to disclose that.
No, because the sentence that I had suggested adding says, which doesn't involve the township officials or representatives' own confidential IMRF business. So that's their own business.
It doesn't-
That's not something that we should be privy to.
I don't see.
But if it's
it.
township business, it's under the, from trustee Sweeney where I had.
I don't see where it says employees, I'm sorry.
You crossed out employees. yes, rightfully so.
No, but I.
Which
heard
doesn't
that
involve the
addition-
township official or representatives,
Right.
which is employee or employees.
Okay.
If you want to substitute employees, representatives, own confidential IMRF business. So it could be an employee, it could be a trustee, or not a trustee, because they're not IMRF, but whoever's. I mean, in this particular case, we didn't say just employee, because we had an elected official that had correspondence between IMRF.
But you don't have a right to that.
If an employee is corresponding with IMRF, it's, and they're.
If it's their own confidential business, then no.
That's why
If
I
it's
took it
board
out.
business, then yes.
But you guys are saying, like, you're not,
I don't,
don't
okay.
think you're understanding.
In the example that we had with.
Okay, let's not use the example we had.
Well, that's
Frankly,
in part why we have. a
But I'm
policy
not-
to
okay.
address this.
Can I
Because
make
there
a
was
point?
communication that had gone on that we were unaware of.
Okay.
Several
So,
trustees were.
Trustee
unaware.
Sweeney, I'm sorry. I think that this is a superfluous, I don't think there's any need for this at all. You know, it has more than been dealt with, and, honestly, it's a once in a lifetime, so all this does is really, you know, and we haven't even gotten to comment 2 regarding which topics. Comment communications between IMRF participants and IMRF are confidential, or comment 3, IMRF doesn't give advisory opinions. So all of it seems to me to be unnecessary, superfluous. The appeal you're discussing has proceeded and is, you know, paid for by the township board with all alacrity, and I think we're all very satisfied with that. And so I don't anticipate this happening again.
Can we call a vote?
Trustee Barabota wanted to say something.
Yeah, my comment was, we had a situation, you covered that. There is no guarantee that that situation will not happen again unless we have a policy in place that says, don't do that ever again. So we got to see if we can come up with that language. And I think this, with the amendments that our council has been incorporating with that change.
But she still has those qualms about it.
Well, no, I mean, the way that I had proposed paragraph 3 to be written, all correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions between the IMRF and any township representatives or officials shall be immediately forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment. The only thing I took out was if it's not between a representative and an official, it's about an employee, about their own. I took out any correspondence between IMRF and township employees, but I left in any representatives or officials.
Right. And I think paragraph 4 should come out completely. Because IMRF does not give advisory opinion.
We can ask you.
It's kind of like the best one, why would you put it in there?
Isn't there more protection by adding that we're not going to include correspondence that involves confidential information? That's why I
No.
added that. I mean, to me, it's another level of protection.
Or what?
That we're not going to disclose information or correspondence that, you know, is confidential.
Oh, I see. All
We
right.
need that in there, otherwise we're disclosing all in correspondence.
That's not going to create a problem as to what was confidential or not.
I think it confuses.
So if a township official.
I thought we were doing the right thing by adding a level of protection against confidentiality.
That's what you would stand.
Well, it's and which doesn't involve the township official or representative's own confidential IMRF business. I mean, I don't really have a big problem with it, but I think paragraph 4 has to go out. This is totally superfluous. Is they don't give advisory opinion.
Right.
So why have a policy about something they don't do?
Well, I guess it's the same as the public access council one.
Right.
No, public access actually has a statute that says that they do. IMRF does not. IMRF is an administrative body, bound by administrative rules. It's my understanding public access, is a branch of the Attorney General's office. So, and there is a specific town, as you pointed out, there is a specific township.
Okay, let's just eliminate number 4.
Okay.
Can we call the vote?
Okay.
So including the sentence number 3.
Hang on, we'll eliminate number 4 and add your language in number 3. And then you're gonna make that motion.
I will make the motion that
Can
we
you-
add to number 3.
And you read it as is.
All correspondence including queries.
No, from the beginning.
That is the beginning.
No, should any employee.
Oh, the entire thing?
Oh, see, you got the advisory opinion. Can we take
Any
that out?
employee or official of the township seeking special action, such as an advisory opinion review,
All right.
or an appeal of the township, well, no, that could be requested. I don't know.
It's in their rules. They don't do it.
Are you saying because if you take out 4 about the advisory opinion, take that out 1?
Correct. Correct. If you take out 4
Okay.
to be consistent.
Okay, so, okay.
Just
so we're
strike
taking
the
out that.
advisory
Strikes-
opinion
Strike such as an advisory opinion, so I'll
Okay.
reread. Should an employee or official of the township seek special action, review or appeal of a township board policy, vote or certification decision related to the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, IMRF participation, that person shall immediately notify the clerk, supervisor, and board of trustees individually by email or as otherwise digressed by that board member/trustee. Based on availability, the supervisor, clerk, or township administrator, in consultation with members of the township board individually, shall take appropriate action in reply to the request for review within the statutory time limit. The administrator taking this action must seek advice from the township attorney prior to reply to the IMRF. All correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions between IMRF and any township representative or officials, which doesn't involve that township official or representative's own confidential IMRF business, shall be immediately forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment.
I don't understand why you're putting that other part, which doesn't affect that individual's own.
Let's just, we can finish, so let's just finish.
That's what the motion is.
That's what we do, let's finish.
That's it, 'cause that's it.
Second.
We stopped, we're taking out number 4.
Second. Now I guess we can discuss.
Oh, call vote.
No, we had a discussion.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't understand why you're putting that extra language in there.
Because if a township official who's qualified to participate in IMRF wants to get correspondence from IMRF about their own benefits, and that's confidential, then that doesn't have to be done.
Correct.
Right.
That helps that keep it confidential.
Which is what you're saying, right?
That's an
To
extra.
the employee.
No,
We're
or
talking
even,
about-
like Susie, didn't have to disclose her system.
Right.
It's not important.
No, I get it. But the. What were the 2 words you added?
She added,
There's a whole,
it was a
without the-
sentence,
which doesn't involve that official or representative's own confidential IMRF business.
So, okay, so all
that's an extra
correspondence,
layer of,
including queries, directives, and opinions between the IRF and any township representative or officials. which
that does, and it has to scratch the regarding, says it,
Which doesn't include,
which doesn't
shall
include
be, doesn't involve their township
official
official.
or representative.
Representatives, own confidential IMRF business.
Now, why did we strike the word employees?
No,
No, that's in the,
because employees, you can't.
employees
take
you
their
can't at
information.
all.
It's that, that's their business.
That's their
It's nothing to do with us.
You don't get employees, I am right.
Well, nor do you get any of the confidential representatives or officials if it's confidential.
Well, if we could ask our attorney, what was the major reason for striking the word employees? Was there, what was the major concern there?
Because I struck it because I didn't think we should, because it was requiring employees to disclose their correspondence with IMF to the board.
But at the time you struck it, you didn't realize I then added this language which protects that employee against.
Because I struck it
Doesn't
prior,
involve them.
several weeks before I got that language from you.
Correct, that's what you did. Okay, so now that we have that language in there, we actually should have the word employees, employees should stay as well as representatives and officials, there's no difference.
So you
It's
want to-
confidential. Yeah, we may as well just leave employees in there too, because if it's confidential, nobody's going to be,
So if there's a board member that contacts IMRF, they don't have to disclose it too. That's what you're saying.
Confidential.
So then we need to amend the language that you added also to include
we
employees?
keep, so in number 3, it should read, all correspondence including queries, directives, and opinions between IMRF and any township employee, representative, or officials regarding that which does not involve that township's official or representative's own official
No,
employee or
see-
representative's own confidential IMRF business.
But you're getting all mixed up. You can't say which, that board representative, you have to include employee.
Employee.
It's easier to keep strike the employee language and just put in or your amendment.
I think her amendment along with the word employee is what makes
No,
it.
no, you strike the employee because you absolutely can't get it.
But you absolutely can't get it for representatives or officials.
Right.
It's confidential.
Right,
So
but-
employees no different than the representatives or
Right,
officials.
but what you just read,
But adding this clause, which I did after Carrie Lynn had struck employees, protects that employee.
not the way you just read it. You just said representative.
How about, why can't you just say all correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions, or excluding confidential correspondence, but including queries, directives, and opinions between the IMRF and any township representatives or officials shall be immediately forwarded to all elected board members. So in other words, you would just say all correspondence excluding confidential correspondence between the IMRF. You can take out the including queries, directives, and opinions, and just put all correspondence, which would include all those things, but excluding confidential correspondence.
So that was the intent of putting that language, which doesn't involve that township.
Yes, you want to change,
That's
okay.
fine.
So the
Excluding,
point,
Yeah, excluding
That's
is-
fine.
is-
it's more concise, okay, that's fine. Let's put excluding.
okay.
Simplify.
Yeah, that's simplified.
So
Yeah,
if you read, you
so-
want to
so-
read, well,
So what we need to do is amend the motion by rereading, I think, paragraph, what was it, paragraph?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Yes, let's just read the whole thing.
Well, let's get number 3 down pat first.
All
So-
correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions, excluding confidential communications
correct.
between the IMRF and any township employees, representatives, or officials shall immediately be forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment.
Right, as soon as practical. As soon as practical.
All right. And striking paragraph, please.
Oh, okay.
Who made this
Shall be
motion?
Yeah, we don't want to change it to as soon as practical. We want to keep the language in shall be immediately forwarded because of its,
That's a good point.
it's just carbon copy.
Susan made the motion.
Okay. Susan, you need to amend.
That's reason.
Okay, move to amend.
The policy is amended, right? I mean, you guys, read it.
Let's read it through one more time, just to make sure.
Okay, well, we read 1 and 2, so it is all correspondence, including queries, directives, and opinions, excluding confidential communication between the IMRF and any township employees, representatives, or officials. which does not,
No,
No, shall
well,
be.
that's it, shall be, sorry, shall be immediately forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment.
As soon as practical.
no, it's
No,
gonna
no,
be
take that
No,
out. It
it's-
says shall be immediate.
Shall be immediately forwarded to all elected board members for review and comment. And number 4 is eliminated.
Correct.
And that would be everything.
Who seconded this?
Second.
Okay. Having a motion and a second. Clerk Giuliano's can you call the roll?
Supervisor Brass?
No.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carapota?
Yes.
Trustee Sweet?
Yes.
All right, next, we are moving to, town elected officials access to public records. So, I had done everybody had requested, you had requested Trustee Sweeney, so I'm not sure why, that was so, any, changes, additions, deletions, or anybody else who wanted to get in on the act. So I did.
So your proposed changes are in the last document in the packet,
Right.
along with attached to it the trustees Sweeney's comments on the supervisor's proposed changes.
So what I would propose is, maybe some things. No, I have, from trustees. Yeah, that's mine.
The second page of that. No changes to it.
Ah,
May I be recognized?
yeah. So, I had done one that I think was a compromise, and much more thorough, and also allowed for a differential between items that were over 5 years old and items that were not. So, so I'm going to read mine. Policy for handling board requests, yours has already been posted. Policy for handling board requests for information shall be the policy statement that all township board members shall have access to any and all historical, financial, legal, and any other documents necessary to fulfill their duties. A, any board member requesting.
I'm sorry to interrupt, I apologize, but how does this pertain to the one, were we gonna finish going through, as Carrie Lynn had suggested, and go through all the policies?
This is a
And see-
policy. This is.
But
so-
this isn't about just public records, this is a lot of the things that we've already talked about and approved.
No, it's
This is like
township
overall.
elected officials' access to public records. That's literally what the policy I submitted as a substitute is addressing.
So you're suggesting that this one page is a substitute for
Correct.
township elected officials' access to public records?
Correct. I think it helps you. And I think that it absolutely, it says, particularly paragraph D, documents under 5 years old are generally available electronically, can and will be fulfilled optimally within 48 hours. All requests should not be made. Now, this is the part I think that's a bone of contention for you. All requests, whether for documents or information, should not be made to individual employees. They are not keeper of the records. And it is considered best policy for the smooth workings of the township to coordinate the request through the supervisor with a CC to the administrator or vice versa, I don't care if it's to the clerk. But the department heads are not keeper of records. And, you know, so, your comments seem to have some issue with me getting CC. I'm the CEO. There's literally zero reason. I facilitate this. I get them for you. And so, and also, you know, it's also in there that, you know, should be done in a timely fashion, and timely shall be construed using
Can we
reference.
comment before you go
I
on
haven't.
each thing?
Yes.
Are we gonna, I mean, are you gonna
Of
read through the
course.
whole thing?
I just would like to talk.
I understand, it's just that how,
Can I finish?
you're gonna go through all.
No, I'm going to address what your objections while I'm talking. So I think the reason that I thought this was more thorough is because it gives a definition of timely and also points out that it has to be like FOIAs have to, if we have 6 FOIAs that day, they have to come first. And that it would be reasonable that a board member refrain from requesting document production spanning over 5 years on the Friday prior to the board's regular monthly meeting. Because we can't do everything you're asking. You know, Dave wants packets on a Thursday. So, you know, we've had 3 situations, trustee Sweeney, where you made requests for historical 10-year data on a Friday before a board meeting. And I'm sorry, you did.
One time we talked about the bus.
And I got it
It's
done.
online, it's not a big, it wasn't asking me to do a level.
But we're putting together. So,
I understand you brought that up several times at one request.
well,
Understand?
okay. So it's giving some guidelines for what time is. Your objections seem to be, you know, somewhat personally directed, that I shouldn't be involved at all.
No, I'm just, I don't, we were a committee that came up with, you know,
Right.
3 of us, 3 trustees.
Which was to bring
had come up with
suggestions
these
to the
rules.
board.
So what, can you tell me what you don't like about this specific one? Because this kind of goes and covers a whole.
It's
this is
not as
one
thorough.
policy. This goes into a lot of different things that we've already discussed by individual, specific things that we're voting on. So right now, we're just looking at the.
No, we're not just looking at
access.
that. No, I'm sorry, this whole procedure, the reason it was tabled from time to time was to allow each board member to submit either comments or their own version. I mean, I can tell you where it is in the video. That was.
But we were a committee that came up with this.
Right,
Never
but that
reviewed
doesn't
what
mean-
we cumulatively came up with to say yea or nay to these things.
No,
with
I came
amendments
up to it
this.
to advise the board.
Right, so with amendments then, that you would want to make and change to what we actually have as it pertains to.
No, the
records.
amendments are the
This
attorney's
looks like it's not
amendment.
just one policy, it's covering a lot of different things,
I have a suggestion.
which is not just records.
Why don't we look at the policy that the committee, so let's just read through it and see if there are either issues with the specific sentences here, and then we'll go through the ones that the supervisor has submitted. And to the extent that they pertain to the same thing, we can merge them or decide what the board thinks about each one.
Okay.
Or we can adopt all of the individual paragraphs. So that, I mean, the township's committed to compliance with the Illinois Freedom of Information Act. We have to be, right? So nobody objects to that?
No.
The public is provided with easier access to public records, including a more prompt production of records and a waiver of copying costs under some circumstances. Well, under some circumstances, they have to be, right, because they,
Yeah.
Right.
right, okay. Elected officials being part of the management team of the township should have access, which is at least as favorable as ordinary citizens. Well, they also are ordinary citizens, right? Okay. Policy, as of the date of ratification of this policy, Maine Township elected officials shall have access to any public record that the public has access to.
Can I interrupt just for a second? the distinction you made between item and public record, the rules for the reason for that. The word item.
You struck the word item.
should-
Oh, because the public only has access to public records. I mean, public
We don't have
records.
access to much more than public record.
Public records.
That's
is
why
defined-
mine actually helps.
Is there, yeah, it says access, we get access to any item that the public has access to. And this is changed to any public record the public has access to. If there's anything else the public has access to in some circumstance, we should be able to get that too.
What would they have access to?
That's a good question, but
What if
that's-
it was a confidential thing, so it's not a public record, but it's a closed session meeting that we're listening to or something like that?
Then the public wouldn't have access to that.
Correct, but it says here that Maine Township elected officials shall have access to any item instead of just any public record.
It says
It's
item
not
that
just
the
a
public record has access to.
It says, okay, the title is Township Elected Officials Access to Public Records. Closed session minutes are not public records. So that shouldn't even be part of this.
Yeah, and I think actually the supervisors, her number one under hers addresses that. It should be the policy that all township board members shall have access to any and all historical, financial, legal, and other documents necessary for the duties, which might be stuff that the public doesn't have access to.
Right, I was trying to help you.
I don't have a problem with the first sentence.
I was just concerned
I don't-
because whatever item that the public has access to, I want to have access to.
Well, you also, and I mean no disrespect.
I don't want to,
to the public,
because
you have
I
access
do.
to more.
I do.
Like
I don't want
closed
this- I
session.
don't want this limiting.
It's not, mine is much more broad. That's why I'm not quite.
No, I think he's asking why I changed it to public
Right.
record instead of item, and I
Well,
thought public records.
Well, because
and I-
it's title. I mean,
Well, that's not why I did that, though. I did it because public record is defined under the Freedom of Information Act, is very broad and very specific. And I meant that to be more expansive, but if the board would use things that's more restricted, then you can take that up. I don't know what.
Okay, that would be good. I see the point, though. That would be good if we could just have any item that the public has access to.
Okay. And A, there should be no copy cost charged to an elected official for a copy of
That's
a
really
public record.
changed.
there never is.
Although elected officials are encouraged to request documentations in electronic form. B, timeliness for production of documents in an elected official request shall generally be more timely than that of the general public when possible, but at all times at least equal to that of the general public.
That's a good change.
I disagree that it should be more timely. I think the general public comes first.
That's what, well,
At
but,
least equal.
No, but it says shall generally be more timely. That's why I thought mine, sort of expansive.
When possible, underlined.
Well,
Well,
why
the-
are you, okay, so we are paid for by the residents' tax paying dollars. So really, they should come first. And
We make decisions.
we understand that, but that's why, trust, hang on one second. So my point is, I think that makes you look, frankly, I think that's a little elitist, and I don't mean that's not the right word, it's just, I think it's wrong. I think all it needs to say, at all times, at least equal to that of the general public, but with this I would pass both of these, because this is far more helpful to you, and this is so general that,
I would like to make a motion
It's my
to,
turn.
hang on, trustee Jones. No, I said hang on before you make a motion, she's still discussing.
I think that we should listen, somebody read the first one, and everybody not comment until it's completely read through, and then read the second one, again, not comment, just listen, and then we can see what we can merge together. Instead of continuing to interrupt and interject opinions before we've even gone through either one in its entirety. How about we just read them all, dissect them, make notes, and then comment when we're done reading them both through.
That's a good idea.
The one that Carrie Lynn has reviewed, that we presented.
She's reviewing mine as well.
Right, there's The only other issue that remains, just looking at that, is that word acceptable at sea. What does this mean? That's clarification as well. 24 business hours is a good change.
Well, my question was just that whole phrase. I was just wondering what, it says email requests and telephone requests confirmed by mail within 24 business hours are acceptable. No special form or on-site visit is required. What does that mean? Does that mean an elected official who wants something can request it by email or phone request, but then who confirms it by mail? And is there an obligation that someone confirm it within 24 hours? And is that the official or is that the employee?
Or the
I just-
supervisor.
Yeah, so that one sentence was just, I think we need to break it into maybe 3 sentences, but I was trying to figure out what your town was behind it, because I just felt it wasn't clear.
Email requests and telephone requests by elected officials. Can you confirm by email within 24 business hours are acceptable? They just need, the added part, no special form or on-site visit is required.
So,
So if
okay,
there's a request,
so if someone,
FOIA
so
isn't
you,
done by phone. I
So-
mean, honestly, you don't need a FOIA for this, so.
all right, but even if it's an email, so then if someone may request something by email, an employee has to confirm within 24 business hours,
Yes,
which we work 8 hours a day, so that's like 3
3 days.
days are acceptable, but then, I mean, if it's by phone, I don't know, what do you want the procedure to be? Tell me what you want, and then we'll just put that in the words. So you're trying to say that public officials can request stuff by email or by phone, right?
right,
Okay,
and
and
then
then,
we don't have to come in on site.
okay, you don't have to come in, all right, and then what is the confirmation process that you're talking about?
We're- Well, that's just confirmed by email, like if there's an answer to the email, confirmed by email. So if there's a request, or there's a telephone request, somebody's gonna get back via email, confirmed by email.
Confirming the request, or just they're responding by email?
Well, that's a discussion we can have.
What would you,
The request should.
I mean, that's why,
That's
So
what
if you do
the
take a
request
minute-
to be confirmed.
if the request can be confirmed within 24 business hours, the item may not be, given in that space of time. If it's 10 years of historical data that is not online, that we have to go up in the attic, pull everything out, and.
Okay, we have a separate section that addresses like how long we keep records. That's a
No,
separate-
that's it, no,
That's nothing to
Susan,
do with this.
yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. Keeping records and the length of time you keep records is completely separate. This is, we want you to have access to everything, but like the minutes are kept in these minute books, which, literally, we take apart, we hand copy, so, and then,
So is it reasonable to get a response in 3 days with something?
well, that's
Is that
why I'm
unreasonable?
trying to do this.
Well, I
because-
thought that there were a lot of things that I'd like to just get, we're on the very last thing here.
I don't
This is
understand
very
why we can't just read it through with no comments and then give the courtesy to the supervisor and read hers without any comments or interjections or opinions and then go back to the discussion. Because it will make a lot more sense if we do it that way to everybody.
If we're at the very end, that's the last.
Then
thing
just
we're
read
talking
it
about.
through and stop.
So-
No comments, no opinions, and then we'll go to the next one. And then we can discuss when it's all done.
but I think Carrie Lynn's question was, what was trying to be accomplished by Terry?
Okay, so confirmation of the request.
Right.
Well, I think,
That's what you, Carrie Lynn was somebody.
yeah, it's,
Let's say accomplished. Let's see.
Confirmation
With
of
some
the
kind of
request can
answer.
be made.
which could be, I mean, her question is it an answer to the request or is
Right.
it just
And I'm saying-
an acknowledgement?
It's an acknowledgement.
It should, I mean, 3 days is a long time, and hopefully that a record can be retrieved by that point, so it's the actual answer, not just a response, got your email. If you need time, but at least a confirmation, like, obviously, we're all understanding, but by 3 days, it's ideal that we get an answer within 3 days.
Or do you want to just take about how to confirm by?
How about
email
take that
24
entire
business
thing
hours?
out?
What was that, Carrie Lynn?
Well, why don't we just say elected officials may make email requests and telephone requests, no special phone or on-site visits required. Would that be sufficient?
With no time frame expected? To turn around?
Hopefully you're gonna read this next,
Turnaround
which
time.
gives you a time frame.
And then can they may confirm in writing that they made such a request? Or, I mean, if you make it in email, you don't need to.
Right, it's a record that you made it.
I mean, it's actually, yeah,
Sorry.
Trustee McKenzie.
Sometimes it goes into spam or, you know, person, it opens without you opening it. I mean, I've had
I've
that
never
happen.
had that.
Oh, I've had it happen to me where, I don't know if it's because I looked at it on my phone versus my iPad or whatever, and I miss it,
I've had
but
that.
it opens,
Yeah, if you do
and
it on your
I
phone.
didn't realize that it was there, and then somebody has to say, oh, you never responded to this. And it's either in my spam, or by accident it opened, or I didn't open it, it just opened.
But she's saying that if you email a request, you have I mean, it's not gonna go to I mean, it's gonna come into a hard computer.
I think they're just asking for a return
How about
email
this?
that it's been
That it's been
received.
received,
How about
which is
this?
fine.
Elected officials may make requests by email or telephone. Staff will confirm receipt in one business day.
That's fine.
yeah, I like
That'll
that.
work, that works.
Confirm receipt within one business day.
All right, and then going on to the supervisors, it shall be the policy statement that all township board members shall have access to any and all historical, financial, legal, and other documents necessary for the duties. Is that, well, you know, just read the letter.
Yeah, I mean, is that part okay?
Yes.
First
Okay.
sentence is fine.
A, any board members requesting documents should be requested by direction to the supervisor and/or clerk. Any request should be made during business hours. Is that okay?
No.
But it was to the administrator.
I think it should be the,
Well, but
I
the
agree.
is, okay.
or the department head.
No, the department head cannot do it. It is not fair when, you know, Rich is doing back-to-back therapy. Like, he doesn't keep the records. Like, I'm not sure what is not being understood here. So you can certainly say it to Dana. She's gonna have to forward it to me. So what's the problem?
Why
Is
should
there a
elected
problem that
officials-
you wanna keep me out of the loop?
Well, no, it sounds like we're being, like, having an extra level of, you know, we can't even do what, in a lot of this, we can't even do what a resident does, which is request things directly to the FOIA officer. We have to
Yeah,
go
the
to another
clerk is
level.
the FOIA
All these things, like,
officer.
it's like there's another middleman and we have to go
No,
through.
it's a
Why can't-
supervisor or clerk.
Okay,
The clerk is the FOIA.
Do you want to have,
Why should
have
elected
more
officials
administrative?
handle other-
Or administrator, how about we add or administrator?
you know,
But see, I am a FOIA officer. Deja, I mean, and Dana's not. So I might know where particular records are, and she doesn't.
okay, then she would ask you. But I don't know
Okay,
why.
so
she
that's
wouldn't
an extra
ask her
layer.
request. Why, you're not in here every day.
Why would you
and I
help
don't
me?
understand why
Yes,
it's not.
I literally work 100 hours of township work because I work at my office and on weekends, on all of this. So I read my email and obviously respond on the weekends. So,
So if we put to the township supervisor or township clerk or township administrator, would that solve that problem?
It does for me.
Yes, if it's, the three.
Okay.
Township administrator, or the department head, or the clerk.
not the department head.
Just take out the
It's
department head.
supervisor,
Okay.
clerk, or administrator.
That's fine.
All right. Then C, timely shall be construed using reference to scope, manpower, and staffing. In short, if a member requests over 5 years of documents, it would be reasonable to expect fulfillment may take longer than a request for non-archived documents.
Right.
Additional, is there any problem with this?
No, but we skipped B, so we're taking B out.
No,
Correct.
no, we just,
Skip the second sentence of A as well.
any request should be made during business hours.
I I don't understand that.
Yes.
Because, like, just because I
I agree.
am working on Friday night or early Saturday morning, why should I have to worry about
I'm sorry,
sending
I
people? That
can't-
doesn't mean that they have to, you don't have to act on it. So come Monday, you act on it. I'm not expecting anybody to be working.
I don't think it's fair to email
I don't have
any
the
of
ability
us.
to do the job if I have to respond to you during business
You
hours.
guys don't want to report, okay.
I don't have that flexibility.
Wait, we're not.
I work full-time too. You are literally not the only person to work full-time, okay?
That's why
So-
we're asking for evening or weekend. We work evenings and weekends on township
But you
business.
do understand that when you email someone at home, it wakes them up, may wake their kid up, wakes, everybody up,
No, I don't understand that.
and that,
In other words, what
I
you're
can't be
proposing,
confined.
what
They
Laura's,
can give us our township.
Yeah, you're restricting us, you're
what
confining
Laura,
us.
what Laura's saying, just to make sure I got it, is that I cannot email anything unless it's within business hours.
I understand that like private email.
I can't
use the
make,
township
I can't make a request unless it's during business
To the
hours.
township, I mean,
To
nobody's
the
here.
town, it doesn't matter. I can't,
It
so
says
I gotta
any
work, I
request.
gotta put it on hold and wait until 9:00 a.m. and push send. I don't wanna do that.
I can't do that, it's not
No,
feasible.
you'd rather do it at 3 a.m.
I work all kinds
Yes.
of hours. It
Times.
doesn't mean they gotta
But
answer
you
me.
do understand that people, like, who get an email at 3 a.m., they think it's spam and delete it? Like, you get that, right?
No.
Yeah, that's why I really don't wanna restrict myself to having to wait until the sun is shining.
Well, I'm sorry, I think it's inappropriate to inundate supervisor, the clerk, or the administrator who does look at her phone and work on the weekends when needed, during the weekend. Even though I do work and I will respond, and I absolutely, I don't think, because, and I thought that was recognized at a previous board meeting where everybody agreed. I mean, business correspondence is not very business hours.
I've never agreed to that, because I can't do that.
Well, I
I
don't
wouldn't
think it's such
fulfill
a
my job as a
far-fetched
trustee.
idea.
Well, I think when I got elected as a trustee, there was no mandate, there's no rules we have.
We're doing
To begin
this-
with, which is why we're having rules, and we can't institute a rule that's not feasible.
So if there's,
It's not
it
feasible.
sounds like 3 people are objecting to this, if we remove the second sentence, I mean, with the understanding if something is sent out after business hours, it's not going to be responded to,
Right.
or maybe even received or reviewed.
It might not be received.
Then people, then is it acceptable to remove that second sentence from A?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll remove the second sentence.
If we add administrator to B, is that sufficient?
Right.
So supervisor or clerk or administrator?
Right, so I thought we got that B done. Okay?
The B, I think, what we're doing by saying all requests will be directed by the supervisor to the appropriate department for fulfillment in a timely fashion. Are you telling us we cannot ever email any department heads?
Yes.
That's what I feel like.
I'm saying that it
And I-
goes to Dana or the clerk or me, not the department
If I
heads.
want to understand something, as you've encouraged us to do, come into the town.
Sure.
Talk to the town.
I'm
And I have a
talking
question
about
for Marcia, I have a
records.
question, I don't understand why.
These are document
Okay.
requests.
But it says,
But that's what it's about.
okay, it says all requests, and this is a
Okay,
township policy,
so-
so it doesn't say documents. it
So,
says all
number
requests.
1, policy for handling board requests for documents instead of information. There we go. Does that satisfy it?
And but all document requests will be directed by the supervisor or clerk or administrator, whoever received it in paragraph. A,
Right.
to
We'll go to the
appropriate
appropriate
timely
department.
fashion.
Alright, right.
So is that sufficient with that change, adding documents?
I'm not comfortable with it, but if I want to see some things, I have some ideas right now, I'd like to sit down with Marcia and request, but I have to go through levels. And I'm adding another level and a middleman to do so, because I'm not on equal footing.
So
to
how do
get
we eliminate?
No, you're
how do we-
making
how
a-
do we eliminate-
And I don't think it's
So
fair.
it's normal protocol
Right.
within a township that you would go through the administrator or the supervisor or the clerk. You wouldn't usually go directly to staff for information. Maybe the highway commissioner.
So
would
can
assess-
I make an appointment with a staff member and meet with them, or do I have to make that request via I mean, I was told by
It's a
Marcia
different
that I
issue.
couldn't request to meet with her, that I would have to get approval, and except she said, you have to get approval from Laura. I don't understand that as a trustee, why I can't just do that.
That's not what we're talking about.
Or, first of all, I never heard about it. Second of all, that's not what you're talking about. We're literally talking about trying to help you with the request.
Okay, I have an idea, so I have a document where I want to see documents for request documents from a department. I have to go through the supervisor request.
Or the clerk or the administrator. We literally just add her on for you.
Right.
We're the keeper of the
If I
document.
can just draw an analogy, I mean, so that's normally, like, if you are a municipality of the police department and you want something, you
You're not
normally
calling
go to
the
the police
beat
officer,
officer.
you go through the normal chain of command. And then the same thing with the municipality, if you have questions about a pothole being fixed, you don't ask the guy on the street who's fixing the pothole, you go to the director of public works. I mean, so there's a normal, like, chain of command within a township. Are you afraid that if you go to them, they're not going to let you talk to staff, or, because they might direct you to the right
I mean, that
person?
happened already to me in the assessor's office. I was told I couldn't come in and get, have a meeting without approval. So I couldn't come in and watch and, as I did with the clerk's office, to understand a few things and look at things. So I guess I don't understand how request for documents is going to differ from just a request to come and maybe I need a document, maybe I need a copy of something.
We're literally on documents.
Right. So if I want a document, which I want to ask for out of the general assistance office.
No, you
I have
can't.
to
You shouldn't be
request
walking into the GA office and cornering loose in the middle of a therapy appointment.
that. I didn't say I wouldn't necessarily set up an appointment. I didn't say I'm coming in the middle of a therapy.
That is
She's
inappropriate.
talking about setting something
That's
that's,
inappropriate.
say, Marcia.
I think she answered that. That is inappropriate. I mean, I'm sure
To
a
set up an
first of
appointment with
all.
Marcia Warner for general assistance is inappropriate for me as a trustee to do. Is that what you're saying?
No, I literally
Nobody said
just said Luce, who's one of the caseworkers. So,
I'm not referring to.
but your analogy was.
No, it was department head. That's what I've asked about.
All right, the supervisor is the head of general assistance.
Right.
So,
So I do have the authority. Marcia's absolutely correct.
I mean, if there's a problem, we need to try to fix that, but there should normally be like a normal operational chain of command just within the structure of township government.
I mean, you may not like it in a supervisor, but I am. No,
It's
I
not, it's
understand.
not.
do that.
I just-
No, but this is sort of really
No,
getting
it's
it.
that, this is not your day-to-day operation to do what
It
Marcia does.
is my
No, to do
day-to-day.
what Marcia does is Marcia's job.
No, I'm actually the supervisor of general
I
assistance.
understand that, but why do you have Marcia? She's got a job. I want to learn more about her job.
But that's, all right,
What's
just to,
she-
again, just go back to my analogy about the guy fixing the pothole. It's his job to fix the pothole. But if you have questions about fixing up the pothole, you normally go to the director of public works, who then would either say, oh, this is the answer, or come in at 3:30 when the person's done fixing the pothole, or, I mean, there's just normally a protocol or a chain of command within there. The same with police operations, or, I mean, that structure would also apply normally just within a township government.
For example, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I represent DUI. So I'm going to be subpoenaed from the main office, and we're checked. The video is, I'm sure Dave is well aware of those things too, because he's a criminal defense attorney. And I am not calling the arresting officer, to say, give me, I need the video. That would be completely inappropriate. And he's not the keeper of that record. And, not that we're a criminal, but it's the same, there's nothing extraordinary about it. Nobody's trying to keep you in the loop. Nobody's trying to, certainly, you can make an appointment with Marcia.
Can we fix this if we add, all right, All document requests will be directed by the supervisor or clerk or administrator to the appropriate department for fulfillment in a timely fashion. If an elected official wants to meet with a staff member,
But that's a whole
it shall
separate.
not be denied.
There you go, there you go.
But that has nothing to do with documents, and it might be denied because they might not be here.
Well, no, but okay, if they're not here, but I mean, if there's, I mean, we're not trying to ban elected officials from communicating
No,
with
of
staff.
course
We-
not.
Right, so I
But
mean,
are we still talking about documents?
no, with this part we're not, because their concern isn't only related to
Right,
that.
but so can't we add that to where that would go? I mean, right
I
now,
think that language would be a
wouldn't that be under
clarification.
policy and
It's
procedure?
a nice short clarification. That'd be great. That would be great.
But wait, I wasn't even sure what I'm saying. If an elected official wants to meet with a staff member,
Shall not be, right.
such request shall not be denied, or?
Right.
No,
No,
because
because when you add
sometimes.
that, they're just gonna go directly to the staff member and forget the beginning.
In certain, I mean, like, so, let's say Rich, who has a full day of, confidential therapy appointments. I mean, so, under what you just said, granted, hopefully one would make an appointment, but, being an elected official, they're gonna feel obligated, oh, they gotta work overtime, we'll make room, and, so under that very broad thing, like really, anybody can walk in, just go, I can't deny them,
What don't you trust about an elected official doing something?
because it interrupts their
We're
work. I
gonna
don't
be
deny you
conscientious
anything.
people, and we understand that, we're not
But you
saying we
have
won't
done
make an
that.
appointment. We're
No,
not
you
saying
actually
we
have.
won't.
But is Carrie Lynn's language approved?
Yes.
Is that fine? Okay.
No.
Well, wait, I'm trying to, so what was my language? If an elected official wants to meet with a staff member,
It shall be approved with all,
But, all right, so
as
here's,
soon as practicable.
right, okay, so, but I understand what you guys are saying too, which is, let's use my pothole analogy. If you want to meet with the guy who fixed the
Exactly.
pothole, why wouldn't you go to the director of public works first? I mean,
That's the point.
why would you need to meet with the guy who fixed the pothole if the director of public works stands your
But
question?
these all are directors, or directors of their departments, which
No,
are very different.
that's
So
not
you are
quite
going to the
the-
director.
No,
No,
no.
You mean, for her,
That's
that's
a
what
lack of
I'm
trust.
doing.
no,
So
she's
the
using the
director.
word director, but
In her analogy, that's what I'm doing.
no,
No.
you're not. You're going to the worker who's filling the pothole. And in her analogy, she's talking about the director being the supervisor, the clerk, or the administrator.
There's very different departments we have, right? Director of public.
Yeah, all of which are generally out in the fields, okay? So.
Okay, what you're saying is we need to be removed from this situation.
Somebody said that.
No, but clearly,
That's how I
we seem to have
sense it.
some
Nobody
lack
said
of
that.
trust.
I've been told that
No,
I
you-
couldn't just make an appointment with this boy. I've been told that I couldn't, make an appointment.
That has nothing to do with
our-
First of all, that isn't what
So-
happened, and I think Liz wanted Susie here,
And I've got
so
to
she
get
could
approval, which we
explain.
tried to get with Susan Cried several times, and we've had no success.
That is not accurate, we're not gonna litigate
I
that.
understand that, I'm giving an example.
We are with documents.
I think that clarification language.
No.
Well, we
Because that's a
beyond
loophole
that.
to go around seeing the administrator, the clerk, or the supervisor.
How about if the supervisor, clerk, and administrator are unable to handle the request, and an elected official wants to meet with staff?
It's just such a completely different topic.
If an elected official wants to meet with staff, they should not be precluded from doing so if they set up an appointment.
So is there some reason, can I just ask, the very next one, if we ever get through this, is policy and procedure? Like, couldn't it go there
Right.
where it should?
Where you can meet with the
I
director.
mean, really, it just confuses documents. I mean, if you, like, I have no problem if you want to put some kind of amendment that if after receiving your requested documents, you know, I mean, it should be pertinent to the topic here. You know, like you should be able to meet with them, even without documents, you should be able to meet with them if you have a question about documents. So, if, you know, let's keep this one on track with documents. So we want to add something like, if after receiving documents that have to do with a particular department, like the official has questions, every effort shall be made to expedite an appointment for that elected official to talk to the department head.
That makes sense.
How's that?
Can you say it again?
Okay. It would be, once document requests are fulfilled. Well, because, I
Because they're
mean,
never fulfilled, and there's a bar.
no, I mean, we always do.
I know.
If there's, you know, if a,
Or respond.
right, if a trustee has a specific question about, you know, a document that they've received in a request, of the department head, every effort shall be made to,
To expedite.
to expedite a meeting between the elected official and the department head with all due alacrity. At everybody's convenience. I mean, meaning the two.
So that's,
Well, if we have, that's, number one, if there is no response, which we do say there always is, but if there's no response, then that can be.
You have to request for records, Dave, I've never not given a request.
Right, what I'm saying, that's number one, and you're putting up that barrier. Number two, to each person's convenience.
No, she
See,
said expedite the
I think what
meeting.
the concern is that as a trustee, we're auditors, and as auditors, we've got to be able to sometimes get information directly, not have to go through channels, then it comes back through channels. Sometimes it's important for us to have hands-on information about what's going on, and what's happening, et cetera, while also accommodating what Carrie Lynn's indicated, is that there is a protocol that's normally followed. So I think just to have some language that says that this doesn't prohibit the ability of it.
But I don't understand why you can't go through the hierarchy, the supervisor, the clerk, or the administrator. And once you get the documents, if you have further, you know, information that you need, or you need to discuss with the director, why you
Yeah,
can't
man,
meet with the director
and then you
then?
can also
Which
add
is
to
what
this.
the
that you can make
supervisor
it done
saying.
anytime.
Right.
I mean, these are two different things. Like, I'm not sure why we're stuck on this with respect to documents. I mean, what's the,
So what you're saying is the one that we presented though, so far, with Carrie Lynn's amendments, and then we made a couple of changes to, we got to the end of that one. So, I mean, we could pass that one with that additional change that you just suggested, because we get that one out of the way.
No.
We're trying to make
I'm trying to
the
express
best
them
possible
together.
policy, using both of them
Both of
and
them.
merging them.
Because your case says nothing. I mean, no offense. It doesn't give you guys anything. I think I give you a lot more. Honestly, I do. I think you're just looking at it with an eye of distrust, and I think you maybe read it. I was trying to give some parameters of, like reality, that if it's under 5 years, you're gonna get it in 48 hours. Okay? Yours didn't say that. So I said it for you. If it's over 5 years, we gotta go to the attic. We have to pull stuff. So it may be.
well,
a
in
little-
another section, which is where this was, when it comes to like the website, if we.
We're not
once
in
we
there,
agree- No, but we
Susan,
will never need
please.
to go and have this exercise, whether it's through FOIA requests or individual trustee requests. We won't need to go and have this manpower looking for all this stuff. If our goal is to put this stuff online and keep it
But
there.
we're not there
We're
now.
not there.
Which is
And-
why, right, if we
So
build
then let's wait
transparency,
till
then
we're
we
done.
don't have
Nothing
that.
to do with this.
And then we won't need to be requesting 5 years of documents because it will be,
But Susan, that's
available.
not relevant now. What you just said isn't relevant to today's
Is there
policy.
some reason you don't want to read this?
that I don't want to read this whole thing. I think if we approve this and then we look at what we could accept, you know, add to it, that's fine. But I
We're
think we should
trying,
make some-
is there something wrong with paragraph C?
Yes.
What is wrong with paragraph C? Tell me your objection.
I know, it's red marked up. It's red marked up.
No, it isn't marked
Look
up.
at this,
It's
okay?
marked up, so we were reviewing one of those, yeah.
I'm trying to read what you don't think I've spent time looking at this? So yeah, I said yes before. I'm trying to
Okay,
read
what is
I've
wrong
changed.
with paragraph C?
But in no case shall it take longer than a FOIA. It says, additionally, at times, the township has several resident FOIAs that, depending on complexity, scope, and length, may need attending meeting first. Okay, that's understandable.
And that's in conjunction, I mean, that echoes yours.
But, and then when it says, finally, it would also be reasonable that board member refrain from requesting document production immediately for documents spanning over 5 years from the Friday. Yeah,
Well, isn't that reasonable?
yeah, we could just, I don't even think that needs to be in here. Because there's an
Okay.
indication that that's like the regular thing.
All
We
right,
don't even need, you know,
okay, I'll take it out.
and we already had, the whole thing can be scratched.
Okay.
You can scratch from additionally all the way down to.
No,
effectively prepared to
additionally, at
meeting.
times, the
Because the other
FOIAs
things
do
we've already
take
addressed
precedent.
about when we're getting the board
No,
packets.
your thing is that you come before FOIAs. I'm saying that we have 6 FOIAs at once. I really think you as a board really would want us to address the FOIAs before 10 years of historical data.
It's not about 10 years of historical data. It's about the other requests that might be. You keep harping on that one issue over and over and over.
But generally, they're very
Historical
large
data.
requests.
There's not, no. But if there's something we need to prepare for a board meeting, then we need to at least have the same amount of time and not more than that for that FOIA request.
That's why 48 hours is in there.
Okay, so.
So to scratch out from finally, it would also be reasonable the board member refrain from requesting document production immediately for documents
Take all that out.
spanning over 5 years, you know, blah, blah, blah. Take the rest of that whole thing out. I really am trying to work with you.
Okay, so.
All right, T.
Wait, so are we putting in something that allows us to get, as trustees, to get information in a timely fashion? that we can-
I said, okay, it's
I'm sorry,
coming
where is
next.
that going?
It's coming next.
Okay.
D, documents under 5 years are generally available electronically, can and will be fulfilled within as short a time frame as possible, optimally within 48 hours.
That's fine, I don't have a problem with that.
Or 2 business days. Right. Alright. Is there something?
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, so let's change 48 hours to 2 business days. Okay, E, all requests, whether for documents or information, this is, you know, talking about what you were before, should not be made to individual employees. They're not gonna have these documents. It's gonna hold up your request. And so I'm really trying to help you out. Well, absolutely add that you guys, you know, can, like, meet with them, all of that stuff. But, they're not keeper of the records. So it's, you
Okay,
know,
but the full-time employees are the day-to-day administrative
but
staff.
they're not keeper
We're
of
talking
records.
about
Can
documents.
I
We're talking only about documents, Susan, please.
Okay, so as far as documents, the public doesn't have to submit FOIA requests, which is a document that's requested.
But
So
they don't
elected
submit them
officials,
to department.
They submit FOIA requests to the department.
No, they
No, they don't.
They submit to VA.
No,
No.
it's a VA shop.
FOIA requests, I'm talking about FOIA requests. They don't go to another, pardon?
They're given to the FOIA.
They're given to the FOIA officer.
Right.
But a department.
Right, you're a FOIA officer.
Yes.
It doesn't go to another elected official, it goes to.
It doesn't go to
Yeah,
the
it's a
department
FOIA
head.
request.
It goes to,
But it goes to you.
as a FOIA
Right.
officer. And then I
it is sent to.
I mean, is there some reason you wouldn't want to send it to the clerk? The clerk has the records.
No, that's fine, send it to the clerk.
But that's what I'm s- That's what number is. Okay, how about all requests for, whether for documents, I'll take out more information. Alright, all requests for documents should not be made to individual employees, as they are not generally keeper of the records. And so coordinate all requests through, will mirror the language of number A. Coordinate requests either through supervisor, clerk, yeah, B, clerk or administrator.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yep.
All right. Okay. And then F. Any request by board members for legal correspondence involving the PAC and/or IMRF should be directed to the township attorney pursuant to previous board agreement.
No, I think that we should just be CC'd on things, this just will increase attorney fees
Right,
unnecessarily.
but no,
We'll just
they're the
make-
person that has them.
Okay, but there's legal correspondence that comes back directly to you, Laura, that you've been advised from the Attorney General's office that we have not seen.
No,
When you
it
get that, we
always
don't have to
will
request that from
be
Gary.
with the attorney, always.
No, we don't, no, we're
Why
not
can't we
restrict
get,
ourselves.
why can't we get that directly from you?
You'll get it faster from the attorney.
No, we can't restrict ourselves.
I mean,
If the Attorney General's office or IMF communicates to you, why would you not, why do I have to know when to ask the attorney for that information if I don't know about it?
I thought
Why
the
wouldn't
other
you just
policy-
CC?
I thought the other policy-
The other policy did address it, so take this
so
out.
take it out.
Take out F.
The other policy,
That's why I
already
said this.
said that it all has to go
Right,
through.
so take out that.
Take out F.
Okay, so, here we go. I'm gonna make a motion as amended to, pass, establishing agenda items with the amendments previously mentioned and to pass township policies. With respect to handling requests for documents with the amendments that will all be given a copy to the agent. And I'm gonna waive the reading of that.
I think there should be a typo first, there's been a lot of changes.
All right, do you want to table this to the next meeting?
Because we have, that way we'll have a nice.
All right, I wish you'd send it earlier, but
No, I'm just saying.
Because we're combining the two, right? So we're
Right.
going to have the background, the policy, and then your policies as well.
Okay, so I'll combine those and
okay.
we'll send those out.
All right, so is there a motion to table by somebody?
Motion to table. Motion.
Is there a
We
second?
have a motion to table and to include in that motion that we will have a revision of these policies so that we can review this in advance of the next meeting, prior to the next meeting.
You would be in your board.
Right. Okay.
It may be delivering it, right? Sorry. I couldn't resist.
Wednesday.
All right. All right, who seconded that? No, Kim made the motion to table, so you seconded.
There was with the revision that we did. Right, so that's amendment to the motion.
Kim, will you amend your motion?
Yes.
Okay, so Kim amends her motion.
Well, I'd like to make, we know what the name is.
Yeah, and you second it, right, Susan?
Yeah, Keisha.
No,
She doesn't
She
yet.
doesn't. All right.
So it's a motion to.
I got it.
She's got it. And so, clerk, do you let us leave?
Supervisor Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota.
Yes.
Trustee Sweet.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, can we take a break? It's a break.
Yes, we're going
I'd like to make a motion that we table the rest of these board policies and get to the other agenda items first, and if we have time to come back to this, we can do that.
happy with that.
Because we have some important things that perhaps some of the people that are
Yes, we do.
here want to see.
Well,
Table those to the next meeting.
all right, I'll make a motion to
I make a
table.
motion,
Susan just,
so I need a second.
All right,
second.
have a motion and a second to table, can you call the roll?
Just temporarily table till we have to
Until the next board meeting.
Well, I mean, if we get through the other stuff, we can do this tonight, but if that's something, whatever.
You just want to.
I'm not staying, I mean, I can't be here, so.
9:30.
Yeah.
Let the record reflect.
No, let the record reflect it's 9:30 and we haven't gotten to anything.
Okay.
Supervisor Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie.
Yes.
Trustee Carabota.
Yes.
Trustee Swett.
Yes.
All right, and now we are gonna take a 5-minute break.
5 minutes.
All right, we have a recess for 5 minutes. We're calling the meeting back to order. Next item on the agenda is new business discussion, budget amendment, town fund, GA, and Gary Lynn is going to take this.
And this will be hopefully the first thing on the agenda. So, and this kind of goes to the capital fund resolution that we talked about last time. We're going to have to do an amendment to the budget to put the money in there to expend out. So, the auditor and I are going to meet with staff to get a tentative budget posted so that we can do an amended budget hearing at the August meeting.
So the deadline for posting would be July 25th, which we will do, and because this, like you said, will also include, if we pass the capital fund, that in it.
And there's a couple of budget items that you guys are over budget on that we talked about
Right.
last time that we need to tweak with respect to that.
Can you tell us, can we talk about that, what those things are?
Attorney's fees
Um,
for other attorney.
There's something else too. There's a couple.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a couple items that are just over budget because there were going to be increases in certain things this year and they just weren't accounted for. We haven't yet met to, I mean, like, for example, attorney's fees for the year based on actual last year, you didn't have a lot of actual attorney's fees except for 2 months of the year. And so that.
So that
there's a
item's
regular
completed.
line item for that. What
Yeah.
else? There were some other
You're
ones.
going through our entire year budget of attorneys.
Yeah, we mentioned it at the last board meeting, it's $200 in the hole, and you gave us authority to pay for July
Yeah.
for our attorney and also the other
And
attorney.
I think something
And
like.
we just received a $9,000 bill from other attorney. So, we are absolutely, and there isn't any line item that will be able to cover that.
When you say other attorney, which attorney?
Mary Dixon, IMRF. Yeah, no, the one that you guys selected. So that's really the main one. And then there needs to be a change so that we can spend from the reserves.
Yeah.
And in the contingency, which is where the reserves, if you go over a line item, it doesn't just automatically come out of reserves. So you need to spend in place, which our attorney informs me is the contingency, which last year we spent $1, but generally has, in the past, had $100,000 for exactly this kind of thing. But that comes from the reserves. So that's what you want, because we have you want to use the reserves. Public wants to use the reserves, but it doesn't automatically happen without an amendment to the budget to have an item there from which to spend.
But we can go through all that. There's a couple other line items too. Like
Right.
The audit, and the auditor's bills, and
Do I understand correctly? Tell me what
The website,
the website.
because so many things are requesting to be posted, so that is increasing the cost, and
if an amended budget is required when a particular line item is more than 10%, is that right?
Yes.
Over
Well,
previously.
that's one of the
Or how does
instances.
it
It's
move?
one of the
You have the ability to do line item transfers for up to 10%, but if you don't have line items that have the 10% transferred into, you don't have anywhere to take the money from. And I think the understanding was, well, because we have money in reserves, we can just, if there's a deficiency, take it out of reserves, but we didn't include for the reserves in the budget. So since we have to amend it anyway for the capital fund,
So was your suggestion to put more in contingency? Is that what
Well,
you're
that's gonna be
so
one
that
of
you
the
can take it out of
suggestions,
reserves,
right.
putting money from reserves into contingency?
there's, right now, there is
Right.
nothing in contingency.
There's nothing.
That's what I'm asking, is that what
Yes.
your suggestion is?
Well-
To move it into contingency?
Not necessarily, just to adequately fund the line items we can make expenditures. So if we know that we're already over on the website, and we're gonna need 5,000 more in it, we need to put the extra 5,000 on the website, it's not gonna be updated for the rest of the year. What's happening, and this is one of the things the auditor and I will go into greater detail with at the budget amendment hearing, the township board is getting invoices and approving the payment of certain bills, but then there's not funds in the line items to offset the amount of the bills. So we just have to make sure if you're approving expenditures that there is actually a line item with the funds from them. If the issue is that we're actually spending too much money, more than the township wants to in certain line items, then that needs to be controlled through the budget process. But I think that there's not sufficient understanding of what the actual costs are on some of the budget line items. So that's why the auditor and I are going to work, we're already working on tweaking some of the financial records that you get, so it's more clear what the balances are in some of the line items when we're approving the bills. But I think having a session that actually focuses on that would be helpful. And we can post a tentative budget, you can change that however you want the amendment here, but that's the motivation behind why it's necessary.
And also, if we pass the capital fund, we have to have, that has to be in there. For any ability to spend the reserves, there has to be a place to spend. So,
So it just keeps the options, that makes the options open.
correct.
Yeah,
Doesn't
but-
lock us in it.
No, nothing's going to ever get paid unless the board has approved
Right.
it.
So, you've given us the authority to pay both lawyers for July, but that is, we don't have a line item. Like, right now. So, we'll have to, we absolutely will have to amend the budget and replenish those.
And most townships do that at the end of their fiscal
That's
year.
what I was saying, that's what I was
Right,
just saying.
but then you're legally, you're approving bills that have nowhere to come from.
Yeah, what we didn't want to happen is get to the end of the year, and then all of a sudden the township board is like, wow, we approved these expenditures that are in excess of what we thought the budget was, we're stuck doing, we want to make sure that as you approve the expenditures, you already know what the budget is for them. So,
And I think there was an misunderstanding about like how the reserves get spent. It doesn't just roll over, like over in the line item. I think some people might have thought it just comes from reserves. It doesn't. But it has to come from somewhere. Which leads us.
And I also know that there's a big change from the past audit. I think you had said, Chris, that the reserves are much higher than you previously had thought.
Well, we established that in the budget though. So the reserves on the budget
Are
those
correct.
are the correct amounts.
yeah, but the budget that was passed didn't even account for the funds received from the levy.
Correct.
And then there were also some other changes between how the former auditor was reporting some things that we think should be clearer.
Right.
Fund account.
But the fund balance restatements were accounted for in the beginning reserve on the budget though. But there were some other audit entries that weren't accounted for in the actual numbers. Does that make sense? So for instance, like the property tax levy didn't come out until 2 days before I left the audit. So in order for me to adjust my property tax receivable last year, I had to have the levy that we just received. So there'd be no way the township could even make that entry without me doing that entry. So obviously that would change some of the property tax revenue numbers. And or some additional accruals that we found doing additional accounts payable search. So if we found something that needed to be accrued, that we obviously would make that extra, which would have been in your actual numbers.
Okay, so you're gonna be sharing that with us?
Yes, that will be soon. You should see the audit within the next week or so.
Right, you'll get the audit in the July
So we'll
packet.
have it before the packet.
You'll have the audit in the July packet.
Yes.
Alright, and,
It would be helpful for me to see it before we actually have the meeting, so if I get it before, if it's
well,
available before.
we're not amending the budget at the July meeting.
I'd just like to see it, so I'll come in and get it.
The July meeting is in 2 weeks. But the point was to start this process, with the target date of the August meeting, some type of, tentative, that will encompass what we are next gonna talk about, and things Carrie Lynn talked about, needs to go on file and notice posted July 25th. If we do it at the August meeting.
Yes, so 30 days before
Right.
you have
Correct.
that.
Same process that we did for the regular.
So the next thing really we need direction on then is the capital fund resolution.
Correct.
We talked about this at the last meeting, but I prepared it, but I didn't put a dollar amount because we need to know how much do you want to have in that capital fund initially. So this establishes a capital fund in the budget. It will be used to accumulate funds to support improvements, repairs, replacements of buildings and properties under the Maine Township or the maintenance of the same. And so we just need to figure out what the original funding will be. Now, the supervisor last time prepared a list of things, which I think is.
And the upper amount was $254,600.
And I think that
And
some
then there was some
members from the
public-
public were saying
right.
we should probably have a buffer in there too.
Donna Adams had suggested there should be a little bit more in case there's some like unforeseen emergency. Everything doesn't need to be delineated, but we did, so that's a good thing.
So maybe like.
So this 237.
So Carrie Lynn is suggesting 260.
So this 237 is for the capital fund.
Right.
Let's go, that'll be.
Right, but she's suggesting 260 because that capital, those projects, like there's such a variance in the security thing.
And if you have some other thing like
And
that
then,
too.
right, when we do the mold, which, we're gonna start, and the concrete, if that raises flooding of the parking lot, it may have to get leveled out, so it should have, a cushion. And then we have the sinkhole. That is a perfect example of an unforeseen thing, which I have no idea if that's permanently fixed. Poles going over at the next flood.
The other thing this helps you with then is that if you take the money and you allocate it in your budget and you're taking it out of what your reserves were in your audit, it's going to reduce the chance that you have tax rate projections filed against you because you're actually spending down the reserves instead of accumulating and levying for more.
And remember, trustee Carabota, you had a very good statement, you had been originally talking about, was it worrisome as a potential slush fund, but then you talked to people, I think the quote was wiser or more knowledgeable. And we had listed specific, projects with, ranges that, we got estimates. We can't get estimates per se, we shouldn't for the parking lot. Those were done last year. By, those people will be excluded from bidding. It's obviously an amount that has to go out to bid, right?
I had a problem with establishing a capital fund to begin with. If there was not a capital fund established, these expenditures, and I have a figure of $237,000 on 254. These $237,000 can be spent, these expenditures made and take care of the mold and all that without establishing a capital fund account. That's correct.
No.
What you're
There isn't enough money in the budget.
But there's, in other words, there has to be a capital fund account. We can't pay these bills otherwise.
No, you don't need to create a capital fund account to do that, but you'd have to put the money in the budget and which somewhere else. But the General Assembly passed the legislation allowing the creation of a capital fund with the understanding that a lot of times ongoing maintenance needs, like if you have to put a new roof on a building, you might not want to levy for that in the budget for 1 year. You might want to build up funds for a couple of years so that 5 years when you need to do the roof, you have the money there already.
But this isn't obligating that we're going to actually, then, what we're going to stand, what we're doing is keeping an option open to establish it.
Yes, so if you establish the fund and put it in the budget, the money's there for your use if you need it, and if the board approves payment of bills from it. If not, it's just there, and you can
We still go through each item and approve or not.
exactly.
Those things. Because the amount of 237 is really a range. When I add up what we think we need to do with the exception of security, that
Well, that's the
that
thing, it
amounts to
doesn't include
84,000. So we're way over 237.
Right, it doesn't
We have
include
security
security
on
at
top
all,
of
and it
it.
doesn't include security.
Well,
That's-
the dollars I'm seeing though, 237,000, so security, approximately 1,500 to 150,000.
Yeah.
But addressing that issue with security, number one, I definitely want to see scanners at the doors, that's one. Number two is though, the thought I had was, if we're going to spend money for people to supervise who comes in and out of the building, I think that money would be wiser spent. Maybe right now, we don't necessarily need armed security to do that. If we spent the money and kept the money spent in-house through, let's say, the Office of Emergency Management, where they handle the doors, because they have,
They can't. She works 10 to 15 hours.
Well, but they could add funds in that part of the budget and hire other employees for that purpose.
that department, they let
But they
OEM,
can totally against
handle
hiring
it.
additional
If-
employees, so.
If OEM handled it, if we gave it to them to handle it, we have the scanners at the doors and then just let them handle who goes in and who goes out. They have uniforms and all that, and they're very competent.
There's
like you
one
said.
person.
And that person can supplement whatever's needed through OEM, we can keep the money. We can do that in-house.
You'd have to hire someone.
Yeah, we had people that were, let's say, not necessarily full-time, we could switch them off, but they're not full-time benefits.
Well, so, but Karen Lynn, okay, so these are like two different things. So,
I mean,
like,
I'm not
each of those
anticipating,
things.
$150,000.
Oh, that's what it was.
There's like 2 sets of doors for scanners.
No, that's what it was.
It's
Vicki
$8,500.
did the RFP for
I
it.
know, I saw it, I read it. It's
Right.
not 150,000, it's like close.
Yeah.
You're looking about 8,000.
There's, okay, no? All right. So, but the point is, with the process, the resolution tonight, gives the, just is a resolution that, it shall be the policy, and I think Claire had, I can think her change is fine, it may be the policy. You had said that to me in an email. But, it's really 6 of one camp goes to another. Of the township to establish a designated capital fund that shall be used for the exclusive purpose, so it cannot be a slush fund, like, of accumulating funds. That's what you're doing, to support improvements, repairs, or replacements of buildings and properties owned or leased by the township, as well as the ongoing maintenance of same. It has no minimum balance, but shall accumulate funds in the township corporate fund until appropriated by formal township action. Such funds shall be accumulated in an amount deemed appropriate annually by the township board during the adoption of the annual budget, which would be now the adopted or the amendment, or any subsequent amendments to that budget. The initial funding for the accumulation will be X, effective immediately upon the adoption of this ordinance. All it does is take money from the bank account and put it in a segregated other bank account. You're not spending it.
There are also reasons why Carol didn't set up a capital fund account. I was curious as to why she didn't do it with the previous, there were previous,
Carol Tessie?
attached to the previous requests, and she said no to those previous requests. I don't know.
Might be because the law just was amended now to.
Could be.
Prevent this.
Right. Number one, she didn't spend any money. And, which is, you know, love Carol, but some of the reasons we're in some of these predicaments, with respect to the mold and concrete and the slumping and some of these things.
The mold didn't have anything to do with Carol, they just found that out, right?
No, I did, there was.
You know, we were told there was something found when the manager.
I know, but that's.
Quit, and then we found it.
Well, but apparently,
It came out of the watch, but.
the prior person, I did the research, prior person had mentioned it to Carol, requested air quality.
Oh, it was mentioned before?
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know that.
well, I didn't either. And she was,
Oh, you're just sharing that with us now.
oh, I found out by Rich. Because Rich was one of the people that mentioned it to Carol. And so, but it's somewhat irrelevant.
Here's the one, oh, I'm sorry.
That, you know, the only improvement I recall doing was these lights, which had to be redone.
So we're kind of guessing though why Carol Teshman never said no to the capital fund.
It was never brought up.
Well, you mentioned before that it was brought up to Carol, and then Carol said no. No. The establishment of a capital fund account, I specifically asked them why she had to do, why it wasn't done over all the years of tenure. He said that she was asked for it, but she said no.
I don't think it could be done before.
No.
Just recently authorized.
It was recently authorized. I mean, Bob Dunich, when he was the supervisor, spent money, so the reserves didn't build up. And fixed the parking lot, and fixed the,
But, can I comment on that?
Sure.
I don't know, you know, if it was ever brought up to Carol, obviously I don't know Carol for many years, so I don't know if it was even brought up under Carol, but I can tell you working under her, she really did not like to spend any money, so I'm guessing that she probably didn't even look into it or talk to somebody about it. You know, there were, I think, many projects in the building that needed to be done, not to say as administrator, certain things, payments for the department, and I would talk to her about certain things, certain items, that, would not get approved. Emergency situations, of course, leaks in the roof, and, you know, the window was broken, of course, you know, that was approved. But certain big projects, unfortunately, you know, even, she didn't spend money, but again, I'm not sure that it was brought up.
Because that's what I was told before. That's
Oh,
why.
no, that I'm not privy to, so.
no,
that
I
wouldn't
don't
know about,
remember
but-
saying, I mean, I was a trustee, and we had no control over, I honestly, I mean, the one thing, you know, we had was this big security breach, where the off-site data company had lost all our data, and that was a huge expense. And I think the loss.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, well, that cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And a lot of agony. And I think that, like, rightfully flipped her out so much that, you know, that's why we have such a good, now, you know, system with security of data and, you know, switched everything. And yes, you don't use that offsite security. But, you know, that's the thing I remember, and I think, like, they may have redone the bathroom. There was under two.
Those are two batch.
Yeah, all of the improvements are.
Those are two supervisors.
No, this bathroom was done under Carol.
This bathroom, okay.
This bathroom?
Yeah, I thought one of the bathrooms had been done with her. And actually, the lights, I think, were done under due to Carol as a senior trustee. Because she wanted the lights. I could be wrong, it might have carried over.
They were under Dudich, but she helped me pick them out.
Right,
Because of
right,
that,
because,
what
right,
that is.
they're architects,
Yeah.
and we wanted to keep it in the Frank Lloyd Wright, because it's in Frank Lloyd Wright
Someone was at the time.
Wow. Well, Mikey told the tour that, did a great job. It was a church, so, but unfortunately at our first meeting, there was no light. So then we had to install other lights, and basically that fixed cost quite a bit. So this is a whole separate thing. You're not committing yourself to anything other than moving money from, sitting in reserves to segregated in a capital fund, which you still will, as the resolution says, have to approve appropriate for each thing. So that's the beginning of the process. And then if we get part of the proposed budget amendment, because again, we want to use reserves for this. We don't want to use, we don't have the line items. I mean, we have 25,000 in the building line item. That's what we spent last year. So, Trustee McKenzie.
How often can you amend the amount in the capital fund? Is there a rule?
No, there's not a rule. I mean, the way that I've established this is that you'll just do it annually, either through the budget process or the amendment. So every year when we do the budget, you'll figure out what you want to accumulate.
But say like that sinkhole as an example, say that happens after we budget, we need another capital improvement.
Then you
Can
need
we
to-
amend?
You need to go through actually the whole budget amendment process again with the publication and the hearing, which is what we're, the
That's
process.
right.
So that's why I would say, build a buffer in there because there's not going to be a penalty for you for having it there and not using it. But if you need it and it's not there, we have to go through this whole process again.
Right.
So what do you think then as far as like a funding amount? Because that's what we need to fill in when we pass this.
And Carrie Lynn's suggestion was 260 because the amount was 224, 230.
237, that's what's
And
planned.
it gives a buffer, and the township parking lot has flooded. The repair of the parking lot is not going to fix the flood, it's the grading. That was not included. The concrete repairs do not include the grading. They're, specifically for the areas of egress into the building where it's flooding the building and causing the mold. So it's insane, it takes the mold and still get that problem. This parking lot is getting us 4 times in the past month. It's been underwater and our residents can't get in, employees can't get in. And so those are the kinds of things for the buffer. Trustees.
I was just gonna ask about maintenance. Well, first of all, road and bridge is totally separate.
Yeah.
So they don't have access to this.
No, they cannot, they already have the ability to do it.
They can do their own capital.
They already have the ability.
They don't have it under the capital fund, under the highway code, which governs road district
Right.
budgets. They can accumulate funds in the road fund
Right.
for long-term projects, because sometimes road projects take years.
So when it comes to infrastructure, repair, maintenance, replacement, maintenance, I guess the one thing I was just concerned about is we don't want, like, routine maintenance should always be budgeted for and not be
It is.
in the,
Yeah, building
but it's
up.
like, the words ongoing maintenance, is this a boilerplate, resolution that came off of the Toya Rev's website, or?
No, I tried to word it very
Okay.
broadly within so I'm trying to empower you to do what you can do under the full extent.
I see. I understand, I appreciate that, because I know we can decide for
Well, and
ourselves.
it's
what we want
also,
to do, what we
so
don't, but I
it will,
just,
here, the other thing is if you free up the building line items, you have to amend ones. So, you understand my point? Like, wouldn't it be, better to come out of reserves? I wouldn't want to spend reserves.
You know my position
Well,
on reserve.
Well, no,
free up
but
the
I
line
know,
items.
but
Because
this is
but
giving
there is
back
a
to the
budget for it.
community. You know, we've already talked about that a rebate is $1 million. So this is giving back to the
If you have reserves and you don't want them, you need to spend them. so you don't have
Right,
to.
you can't just keep accumulating. And so, you
No, we
know,
understand that, that's why we lowered the levy, we want to do it more.
but lowering the levy and not spending the money is gonna still accumulate reserves without a line item to spend them and use them.
So when you take the reserves that you had and the levy that you passed and the budget that you passed, you actually increased your reserves.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a
Well-
bad thing.
Well, we
but
got
just-
criticized by 5 public speakers.
Well, what happened by cutting the levy, though, was that your new budget would then consume more and more of your reserves by cutting, by.
Not unless you have an item from which to spend it.
Yeah,
Which
the
we don't.
the budget we adopted was less than the levy amount, which meant we asked the taxpayers no more money than they needed for operations. And I don't think that's what the intent was.
Trustee McKenzie.
So as an initial review of this question, can we all agree that there are capital improvements that we need? I mean, the parking lot last time we were here, I had to move my car 2 times. I think all of you had to move your car. I have been involved in buildings and parking lots where that is a problem and it costs a lot of money to do. And it's something that we have the ability to do, we should do. I think we all realize we need to do it. So that is a capital improvement. That's what this is for. So right there, that's one big thing. We have the molding, it's not such a big deal as far as the cost right now, but we don't really know
Until they
all of the expense that's gonna be involved because we have to pre-grade and all of that. We know we have that. And then the safety issues, yeah, we can talk about the numbers more, but I mean, we do know, I think, as a baseline, that we have capital improvements. This building is kind of on the older side now. We really need to think about what this mold issue and this parking lot and the grading, what all of that is going to require. I mean, you know how it is with older buildings. There are things we need to improve. So I think as an initial thing, we should talk about whether or not we are all on the same page, that we agree that we need a capital.
I'm in
program.
support of a capital fund.
Okay. So, let's call them.
Wait,
Oh.
no, we need to determine the amount.
Oh, the amount. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Alright, well, good vote, how you want to vote. Alright, but, so, Carrie Lynn is suggesting as an initial amount, $260,000. And does anybody want to put more? Trustee McKenzie.
So I will say that I am in favor of a capital fund because I look around and I think that we have some things that we need to do that we're not budgeted for. So I'm in agreement that we need a capital fund. But I think Carrie Lynn is basing the number on the estimates or ranges of work that we had thought about. And we haven't discussed yet how big of a project we're going to make the safety issue. And that's a huge amount.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I am going to tell you, I am not in favor of spending $150,000 on the safety issues when we have so many other things that we need to take care of in this building. So, and not that the employees and our safety isn't.
No, I think.
I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed.
No, she's talking about, I think, the scanners and the security.
I'm just saying, like, I'm all for security, but we have to, we have to be smart about what we're spending money on, and I know you want to be. So I'm just saying that if you're basing the number on that, I don't agree that it should be 260. I do think you should, add a little bit because you don't know.
Well, the
But-
security we picked, wasn't all the way up to 150, but you have also, like, we didn't have the sinkhole at the time. And we also didn't account for the grading of the parking lot. And, so.
Can you tell me what those two amounts are? Because
I
they're
don't
not on
know.
the sheet. Okay.
Don't know.
So is there a number that you suggest?
Do we have an estimate?
No, because,
So the grading and the sinkhole,
Well, we are hoping that when we do the mold and the concrete, that the grading doesn't have to be done, but, you know, what we've been told is that it's flowing into the building, the grade. But the parking lot, you know, it's flowing in from the other side. And so, which is separate, you know, we do have estimates on the parking lot regutting, resurfacing. And yes, they can raise at a higher rate, but we don't want to be bid breaking. So we really can't discuss those, you know, it has to go out to bid. And so the only reason we had parameters for you was last year when we were looking to do it, and they got 3 estimates. One was 20 and one was 50. Those people will be excluded, obviously, from the bid process because they now have inside information. And, you know, since that time, so, you know, Donnie Adams' comment was very well taken. I mean, you know, so, I mean, 5 to 50, you know, I mean, honestly, it's,
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't hurt you. It literally,
I mean, I look
you
at this
still
as,
have to vote to appropriate.
right,
So, and
There's
it's
nothing
good,
expended, it's
there's
just-
nothing negative about it.
there's nothing expended, we have to vote to expend it each.
Correct. Correct. There's like
That's
so
fine.
many different layers, and it's good to spend down the reserves. It's a good thing, rather than you know, go over these line items, like, you don't have the money for line items.
So the 237 factored in the high end of all these projects.
Of those projects.
Of those projects,
Right.
including going all the way up to 150,000 for security. So
Right.
that's why we know that's high.
Right.
But then we haven't added grading and sinkhole.
Correct.
So I think our amount should be, without knowing what that is, I'm hoping to the
260.
well.
I mean, it's not
Think
going
about
in.
going through the whole amendment.
Right.
You know, I don't see the risk, I guess I just don't see the risk in going higher.
Oh,
I know that it
I
sounds like,
agree with
you know,
you. I would
we
be
all are very conscientious about like not having this be a slush fund, not having it be
Right.
used to,
And
you
not
know,
only that,
unnecessary
you know,
expenses.
when Donna, you know, when we sponsored the Republic thing, you know, that you guys gave me authority, like, we don't have that line. And so, you know, the line item transfer was very successful, and, you know, Donna Adams' organization, and you guys all really helped. So you saw, you know, how successful it was. And you know,
Yes, I would like to commend Donna for.
I mean, I actually, really, you know, I already wrote her a thank you letter, and, so I really think, you know, in my opinion, it could go even higher, because it's not been spent.
Can I ask you a quick question?
I was-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, second.
Here's a quick question. So do we have to use the money on the specific projects we list? And I only ask that because, just for example, some of the furnaces like we have in the building are getting super old. We have several furnaces that are in the building. So let's say like by the end of the fiscal year,
No.
we didn't spend all the money, and we have a
Yes.
furnace that breaks and it's $20,000. Can we use that money? then to
Yes,
fix
that's
something
why
in the building?
Donna Adams suggested, and Susan is suggesting adding a cushion.
Okay.
For, correct? I mean, we're listed, you know, to the best of our ability, and I think we went far beyond what many places do, you know, with very specific quotes. So that it assured the trustees that it wasn't like, you know, being used for, you know, toilet paper.
Right. Can I make a motion?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we fund the capital fund for 250,000.
250? I thought you wanted to go above
Is there a
260.
second?
Second.
All right, having a motion and a second, is there any discussion?
I think,
I'll do the second.
Do we need to,
Claire.
Do we need to initially establish the fund, or do we do it all at one time?
Well, we need to
That's-
we need to probably make a motion to pass the resolution.
That's what
So
we're,
why
right, it's a
not-
motion to pass this
Resolution,
resolution.
why don't you quote with the initial amount of 250?
Right. So, Susan, can you amend your motion
Okay, I
to
amend the motion.
pass resolution number 218-6 with an amount of 250?
Wait, there's a dash 6 and a dash,
6.
okay, 6.
Just 6.
Can I make a motion to pass resolution number 2018-6, resolution authorizing the accumulation of funds for capital improvements for the township. And just want to add to that each individual expenditure will be board authorized and require board majority for approval. So that's why I'm approving the capital fund, because there's no expenditures without board approval on the individual items.
Is there a second?
Second,
As amended.
as amended.
So, Clerk Gillis, can you call the roll?
Supervisor Maraschi?
Yes.
Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
And Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
And Trustee Sweet?
Yes.
All right. And, I don't
And then we have to fund the amount. This is-
Yeah, put the amount in, and you guys don't need to sign this.
And then while the supervisors do that, the next resolution on here was another one that I recommended because what I had found, so it's a resolution authorizing the supervisor to pay routine invoices and expenditures and enter into contracts and provide for the budget not to exceed a certain amount. And what apparently has been the practice here is what is very common in other townships, which is that if you get a utility bill and the bill is due before the next meeting, the supervisor will pay it. And I just wanted to clean up the procedures here so that if you get a utility bill and she pays it, she's actually authorized to do that instead of holding the bill until the meeting, waiting for the bill review and then entering the late fee. That's the first part. The second is where the board has discussed and included funds in the budget and then directed the supervisor to take certain steps. But the supervisor doesn't have to come back again to get a contract. Like, for example, 2 examples of this would be, told her to do the mold remediation. She was prepared to just go ahead and enter the contracts, and I'm like, no, you need board approval for the contracts, and she goes, well, you know, we've never had to come back to the board for approval. Technically, that's what's supposed to happen. So they had the Republic thing. So where the board has directed her to take certain actions, she should be able to just enter into the contract without waiting for another month for another board meeting to come back to bring the contract before you. But I said the utility bill's up to $1,000, and then I left a blank with the contract amount because I'm not sure, you know, what the kind of, you know, if you've talked about directing her to do things and she's going to enter the contracts, what would that amount be, 5 or 10,000?
It's typically, so I talked to Dana, and our highest, like annual contract that is usually 10,000.
Right, and some of our just routine.
Routine.
Like yearly contracts would be like our lawn care, Otis elevator, normal liability. So I don't know if you, and those aren't.
The Midco security,
I don't know if
yeah,
you need
yeah.
to see those, like our lawn care, I don't know if you need to approve that.
Copy
And those-
maintenance is usually-
Copy maintenance, and those are low amounts, so that's part of this would refer
Right.
to, yeah. Obviously, like,
So
like an
it's-
attorney and IT specialist, that would all be run through the board, we can never.
It's encompassing what has previously been done.
I just felt it wasn't clean enough here. This is the missing thing.
Are we open for discussion?
I'm gonna make a motion to pass resolution number 2018-7, resolution authorizing the supervisor to pay routine invoices and expenditures and to enter into contracts provided for in the budget not to exceed a certain amount, which I had put so that, which was $10,000.
Second.
What did you say?
10,000. Oh, and now with the motion, yeah, Kim seconded it, and with the motion and a second, it is now open to discussion.
I don't have a problem with utility bills. And bills that we specifically identify like that, don't come in on time. So I can say that.
And myself, really, I'm not prepared to go ahead today. I have to think about this one because I think I have a responsibility that I was given. I'm not prepared to delegate any part of it. And I know it may sound minute or picky-ish, but I understand the goal to clean things up. I understand that. We've been doing things a certain way this last year, and I'm much more comfortable still holding on to that procedure where we go through bill pay without me delegating the authority to enter into any contract without my approval, generally, and for issuing for paying certain bills. I'm just not prepared to do that.
Actually, it's the reverse.
Yeah, what's been happening is that in the past, the supervisor,
get
if
it.
you guys would direct the supervisor to like do a mold abatement contract, she would sign it and do it. But
That was
now, and this has been the practice here for
Yes,
50 years. So now, this is,
But in many other things.
but if, so if we don't do this, we're changing the procedure so that every single contract, even if the board has authorized it, has to come back before the board again the next meeting.
The mold abatement issue, which was $1,700, that was
Right.
brought up, and the board heard about it, and the board gave it specific approval.
But the contract still needs to come back before the board for approval. That's why I was trying to say, in instances like where that has happened, in those instances only, the supervisor then doesn't have to bring the contract back.
Yeah, I would prefer that we not do this at this time.
Well, then I will still just be signing contracts. I mean,
No, we don't, so, I mean, this, we just, I mean, we're going to accept.
but we have to pay Republic, and we have
No,
to pay.
they want to see them, we got to bring them back before the board.
I understand.
Yeah,
that
all right, it's just, it's
They want to
changing.
incur late.
I see, no, I really do see the point, I do see the point.
So if we've identified ones that we, like in the mold situation, we voted on it, we said yes, pay it.
But then there has to be a contract, and the contract needs to be, I was trying to.
So you're trying, this is trying to address that.
Right,
So
not
we just,
only
we don't
that.
have a contract for the mold.
No.
We've agreed to the mold contract. She wants the authority to be able to do it.
That's one
But-
example.
Yeah, in the Republic.
Like, those, see, it's something like utility bills that we know happen every month, we know they come late, and in a situation where we've had board approval on something, where we've identified what it is and we've given authority, then I wouldn't have a problem in that situation.
That's all it says, if you.
But I have a
Section 2.
problem with the other contracts up to $10,000.
But
We're not
listen to
looking-
what it says. It doesn't say the supervisor can spend $10,000 whenever she wants. It says, when the township board has discussed a matter at a public meeting that requires the expenditure of funds that are in the budget and has authorized the supervisor to proceed with the project, the supervisor is authorized to enter into a contract related to the project authorized by the board without the need to bring the contract back before the township board for additional approval, provided that the contract shall not exceed the amount of X, and further provided that there are adequate funds in the budget for the expenditure for the project that was approved by the township board.
Basically say you don't have to approve it twice.
Right.
Okay, that's one section, that's section 2. Then there's,
Yeah, that's the only one that talks about the contracts.
No, the other one is paying utilities early before work building. Because, and credit card, because we've been routinely incurring late fees.
My only request is that the amount in section 2 be, a lesser amount, 10,000 for some reason is objectionable to me because I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be asked to look at a contract that large.
What amount would you like?
Without having, thought about this before, I'm thinking 3,000?
Can we compromise on 5?
Well, what was the Republic?
Republic is gonna be $4,795. And then there's some extra well, it was 1,460, and then we had, the pay Mikey's overtime pay, and there's other matters involved. So, and so Dana, with our sample contracts, for example, you know, when we, I think when we're about new, and you know, that's not a good example, but, you know, go back to the lawn, for example.
The lawn, yeah, that would be
So
under.
now we're gonna,
The
like,
lawn would be under 3, Otis is probably right under 3. Not a lot, but that would probably be.
right,
it.
so I don't have any I think 5 is a good cushion.
Yeah, I think 5 is good.
Alright. Do you have a problem with that?
I do.
10:30, I'll take this as possible.
No, we really, otherwise I can't pay these. I'll go with 3, and then, and if we
I
amend
go
this
yes.
later, I mean, we can always change this, right? Okay,
Well, what?
because otherwise Denise, we're gonna keep racking up late fees for the township. You don't want that. You know, really, I do try to save you money. And,
So that's giving our authority 3,000 to me is still high.
okay, so I'm gonna call the question, and,
$1,000.
I'm gonna amend my motion to pass resolution. Okay.
Joe, it occurred to me that we have like the first of the month bills, which is all of our insurance bills, which are, I mean, they are a set amount. And most of them are the voluntary insurance, which means the money is coming out of the employees paying for them. And what I'm doing now is actually including them in the bill case, so I'm like paying the bill before I even sometimes get, you know, the invoices. And I was wondering if that could be something that we.
That's what we're trying to do, but they want,
That's
they
it.
want the contracts to come in before they're paid. So-
No, she's about
It's just-
our monthly insurance.
No, this is just
or-
first of the month, like our insurance bills,
I know.
our health insurance.
But that would be covered
Can't pay
under.
stocks until in the budget.
I would rather this be amended for
But it
two
would be
specific
covered under
things.
Utilities and.
I would like to make a motion to amend this.
No, but you also have language that yes. I just made a motion. I'm like literally, like just lost my.
Sorry, if it's under 1,000? Oh, okay.
Alright.
It's under 1,000?
You know, what amount are you talking about for insurance?
The health insurance is it?
No, I know.
But
They've already approved that.
What's the amount?
What's the amount?
Okay, then some of them are, so I mean, some of these.
I think it's covered. So I was in the middle of amending my motion for resolution number 2018-7, a resolution authorizing the supervisor to pay routine invoices and expenditures and to enter into contracts provided for in the budget not to exceed a certain amount, which would be $3,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Having a motion and a second, is there any further discussion?
Table it.
Make a motion to table?
And would make a motion to table.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, can you call that question?
Supervisor Marassi?
No.
Trustee Jones?
No.
Trustee McKenzie?
Yes.
Trustee Carabota?
Yes.
Trustee Swett?
Yes.
So how do you want me to pay Republic and?
You have to just put it on the next agenda, all the contracts forward.
Okay, so
It's a change in
we
procedure.
will have late fees. That's basically what you want.
I would like you to pay the Republic bill if we talk about.
But I can't.
Yeah, that's what we were trying to.
Literally just said I can't.
Well, actually, the reason I was agreeing to table it is because I had said I would like specific things to be identified. So if we say utility bills or specific things that we know. No, you can't foresee everyone. But it's under $1,000 is what I had said.
But that's why we put, you know, that the board is already authorized, so there'd be a discussion about the specific things before it's authorized.
How much is the result of those?
But it's a contract, but it's not on the agenda.
See, this is.
When is it due? When is this public bill?
It's already.
How much did it?
And.
What's the bill?
So the original estimate was 1,460, and then we have Mike's overtime, and we have five. So I don't know what the final is.
Yeah, just give it.
Then give it what?
Just give it force.
I don't have any authority.
No, just do it.
I'm not gonna not cover
No,
myself.
I'm saying that, I don't wanna sit here as a trustee and say that there's a bill paid for $1,500 and I don't know anything about it because I need general authority to pay a certain amount. I'm just not prepared to go that far right now. I've been through, in my opinion, I've been through an awful lot over this last year. I just am much more comfortable with bills coming in front of me and we just,
So, this was actually just to tell you, like, every, contracts are signed for table. So, we will be having, it's fine, but you are adding costs to the taxpayers with all these late fees and with having every contract that is a routine contract coming to the board for every board meeting. So, I'm not gonna pay it until July. I won't. And then you'll have a late fee and our residents will suffer because I don't have authority to pay it.
And this is something all the past supervisors have done without board
Right.
authority.
I was just trying to, he was trying to
Common
make
practice was legal.
it more transparent for you. And I was signing contracts like way beyond that. Let's take a count.
Are the payment terms less than 30 days?
Yes, they're doing
That's just.
the Republic thing was,
It's very unusual.
and the whole thing is due upon being done.
Sometimes the bill will come, okay, I have to process my bills a week before the board meeting in order for the clerk's office to, do their ledger and everything. So sometimes what happens is the bill will come after, like, say I put the bills on the 15th to have them for you. A bill will come on the 18th. And sometimes it is, some are not,
The due date, not so much as the 30 days, less than 30 days, so the due date coincides with the board meeting. And actually Denise called some of the companies, they were able to switch the dates, but some won't do it.
I can't, the water bill, they won't do it. Some.
That's why I said we can identify those things.
Oh, that's no problem.
Well, we
can
did.
do this. This bill's in house.
Yeah, but
They're
I
identical.
think the days of comfortable is more, it's more open than identifying specific things.
How much more is utilities and credit card and needing to be identified?
credit card.
No, it's not my credit card.
I'm not saying.
I do not have, I just use one. So, I'm trying to save the township money by not racking up leases
We're trying to be more transparent.
and trying to be more transparent. I could have just gone along and kept signing contracts. I have the authority. But I didn't. I asked Carrie Lynn to do this. So I'm really somewhat disturbed on this board. And I try to, give you control over my authority. You don't want it. So, if you want to rack up late fees, if you want to have, every contract that every board meeting, you can do that.
Just table it, so let's just have a little bit of time to.
Okay. You've now tabled, July is going to be, we'll be here till, I'm just saying, realistically, you are going to be having to prepare to be here in July, to very late. Yeah. This didn't really accomplish anything. So, we tabled most of these. We tabled that, half the policies. We tabled.
So what's next? What are we doing?
That's it, we're done.
Oh, we have to motion to adjourn.
Oh, I happily motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.